season in junior college play. Hutchinson is at Dodge City. The Blue Dragons against the Conquistadors. And Hutchinson with a little something to settle against the Conquistadors after losing to Dodge City each of the last 2 seasons. These are 2 teams that are not headed necessarily in the direction that the players and the coaches wanted them to be. Dodge City, winning their first 3 games, finds itself 1-5 in conference play. They've lost 5 of their last. The better teams in the conference over that stretch. The Blue Dragons got off to a great start. We're 6-1, but Hutchinson comes into this afternoon's game. That loss to Butler 3 games ago, 38-10, where the Blue Dragons just simply didn't play well, kind of self-destructed. Hutchinson has really never bounced back from that completely. A week ago, the Dragons fell at Independence 24-19, and then they lost to Fort Scott 29-24 last Saturday. Dodge City, by the way, their only win in the last 6 games has been against that same Fort Scott team. They won right here on this field. By the way, we're at Memorial Stadium in Dodge City. Dodge City winning that one 36-29. Glenn and Darren are on their way to Seward to bring Blue Dragon basketball your way this evening. It is Coach Knack and I'm Rusty Hilst, and it'll be our pleasure to share this Saturday afternoon with you and other Dragon fans as Hutchinson tries to finish on a positive note with a win at Dodge City. We'll take a break. We'll be back, get Coach Knack's thoughts on what. Well, the temperature here at game time is going to be in the middle 50s, and unlike many trips to western Kansas where you can hardly stand up because the wind is howling, this is absolutely as close to a wind-free day as you'll find out here. The flag off to our right, barely moving. And Coach Knack, what kind of day is it?
Well, you probably heard on the pregame with Darren Dunn and Glenn Grunwald, which they do a fantastic job with, that it is an absolutely great day for football. The sun is starting to peek through some of the clouds. It is a cloud overcast day, but the sun is peeking through. The field looks like it's a vibrant shade of green, just a gentle breeze blowing from the north. Can't wait to see these two teams in action today.
And for Blue Dragon fans with long memories, and there are many of us, the quarterback for Dodge City, a young man by the name of Caden Walters, that's a familiar name to many of you. And Caden is the son of Cody Walters, who was a part of that first national championship basketball team at Hutchinson Community College back in 1988.
He was an instrumental part of that team, and he was always a fan favorite because Cody hustled 100 miles an hour at everything he did, every aspect of the game. Even when he was checking in and out of those basketball games, he sprinted.
Cody lives out here in Dodge City. He is a well-respected dentist here in the Cowboy capital. Caden Walters, by the way, leads the conference's passing. He is almost certain to pass the 2,000-yard mark throwing the football this afternoon. He's completed 143 of 269 for 1,925 yards and 21 touchdowns. He can throw the football, and the Blue Dragon secondary will be tested. One, maybe a little bit of a negative for Walters is that he is a little prone to throw interceptions. He's thrown 12 picks, and Coach Knack, maybe the Blue Dragons can get some of those this afternoon.
Blue Dragons defense is an impressive group of young men that get after it. I believe they lead the conference in rushing yards per game as far as how many yards the defense gives up. That defensive secondary will be tested today against Dodge City.
Is a team that has allowed a lot of yards this year. There's a game, and it's almost evenly split on the ground and through the air. So perhaps the Blue Dragons can get their running game going this afternoon. Hutchinson's leading rusher is B.J. Emmons, 6-footer from Morgantown, North Carolina, has 603 yards. And when you look at the leading rusher for Dodge City, that's Tyler Miner from Flint, Michigan, 565 yards. These two teams in many ways are like each other, other than the fact that Dodge City likes to throw it a great deal more than do the Dragons.
Dodge City preseason was actually picked to finish second in the conference this year, and they got off to a hot start, but then the injury bug hit their defense especially, and that is in part an explanation of why Dodge City has given up so many yards this season.
Dodge City will get to football first, and again, weather is going to be as little a factor as can be out here. The wind is not much, and it's forecast to diminish even further as the afternoon wears on. Coach Knack and I want to extend our best wishes to the Dragon women, the Blue Dragon men teams as they are on their way to Seward for a meeting with the Saints this evening. Those ball games, by the way, will start right here on our station at a little bit before 6. 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock are the game times out in western Kansas.
Definitely want to tune in for those. And also we want to extend our best wishes to all of the service members in all the branches of the military, active duty, reserves, guard, and veterans.
This is a very special day, Armistice Day, November the 11th. And on this particular November 11th, it's the final Saturday of the regular season for junior college football, at least in the state of Kansas.
Blue Dragons will have one more game, most likely. The Salt City Bowl is 3 weeks from today, December 2nd, in the center of the Garden Spot of the Universe at Gowan Stadium in Hutchinson.
For the Blue Dragons, it is Donovan Gagan ready to kick it away. Dodge City clad in gray uniforms. And the Blue Dragons have their gray pants, white jerseys, and they are not wearing their stealth uniforms.
No, both teams. Both teams, you can see the numbers. Yeah. Rodney Murphy is deep to receive this kick for Dodge City.
He stands back on his goal line. Donovan Gagan says, I'm ready, approaches the football, and here comes the kickoff. And it is short, spinning, taken at the 21-yard line, got out to about the 25-yard line, maybe to the 27, and then a whole host of Blue Dragons grind to the turf. Michael McMullen, who handled the kickoff.
Michael McMullen, remember him from Salina Central Mustang footage.
So a short kickoff for the Blue Dragons, but not much of a return. And it'll be Dodge City with the first crack at making something happen offensively. Blue Dragons secondary figures to be tested. That'll be one of the matchups certainly that we're watching this afternoon. Dodge City averages 175 yards rushing and almost 200 yards per game passing. And Caden Walters starts out in the shotgun, loads it up, throws it out in the flat, and it is grabbed, but for no gain. Jerry Hanks, with his 14th catch of the year, was hit immediately.
Jerry Jacobs fought his way through a block. It was one of those rocket passes to the sideline where the receiver had a lead blocker. Jerry Jacobs just went right through that lead blocker to make the tackle for a loss.
So it is a 2nd and 11. Dodge City with a couple of wideouts to the left, nobody to the right. Dragons threatening blitz. Now they back off.
First time we've been at Dodge City in a few years. The Conquistadors came to Hutchinson the last 2 seasons.
Low snap. They throw it laterally, and it is dropped. Might cover that up just in case it's not a forward pass, but the officials say it is, so it'll be an incomplete pass.
Not by much. It was almost straight sideways, but I think that was the proper call. It did appear the ball moved forward slightly.
Tried to get it in the hands of A.J. Walker as he worked to the left side of the field. Walker couldn't handle it, and it is a 3rd and 11 for Dodge City on this opening set of downs.
Blue Dragons go with their speed team on defense now with 3rd and long. The big guys are out of the game, and the faster guys are on the field.
Walters looks over at the sideline to get instructions from Gary Thomas, takes a snap, drops back all by himself, loads it up, throws it in the middle of the field. Oh my goodness, should have been picked off. Threw it right into the hands of Blue Dragon defender
Devon Henderson.
Yeah, he had a golden opportunity. That might have been a pick 6.
Well, he was in great position, to his credit. He read the play very well. Unfortunately, the ball just bounced off of his chest. But it's still 4th and long, so the Conquistadors will have to punt.
Marcus Edwards will try to handle the punt of Chad Stevens. Edwards awaits near his 35-yard line. Stevens gets the punt off, and it's a beauty. Soaring downfield. Taken at the 30-yard line, maybe a little room for a return to the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50. And it's kind of losing his footing as he came across the 50-yard line was Marcus Edwards. And the Blue Dragons will have exceptional field position for their first series as they will start in Dodge City territory at the 47.
Outstanding return.
Dodge City had pretty good pursuit down the field. They actually overran the punt a little bit, and they gave room for a return up the middle. Eric Forrest will be the Hutchinson quarterback. Dragons again beginning at the 47 of Dodge. First possession of the game for Hutchinson. Dodge City was 3 and out. And the Dragons give it on a reverse at the 50, at the 40, and down the sideline with a first down all the way to the 37-yard line goes Jalen Irwin.
Josh Relaford ran him out of bounds, but that's a nice 1st and 10 play to start this drive for the Blue Dragons.
It is so important for Hutchinson and any team that is struggling to get off to a good start. It is so easy to say if things don't go your way early on, well, this is just another one of those.
Especially when it's the last game of the year and both of these teams know what their destiny is from this point forward, regardless of the outcome of this game.
Forrest rolling to his right, throws it a little bit behind his intended receiver, but a nice job of running after the catch by Deshaun Waller, and he turns nothing into a gain of about 7.
He definitely broke a tackle there. That was Lakia Henry that he ran through that tackle and gained about 5 extra yards.
Yeah, more like a 6-yard pickup. We'll make it 2nd down and 4 at the 31 of Dodge City. Again, Eric Forrest got his first start last week and getting his second one on this pretty Saturday afternoon in western Kansas. From the shotgun. High snap, always had. And he can't get to it. Dodge City recovered. Horrible snap from center. I mean, that thing was 2 over the head of Forrest. He didn't have really get back to it and run interference, keep Dodge City from getting there and get to it, but Dodge City covers up the Hutchinson mistake And we'll have it at the 43 of the Dragons.
One of those tough turnovers that not only did the Blue Dragons forfeit possession, they lost about 25 yards of field position on that high snap.
This has been a year in which the exchange from center and to quarterback has really been a problem. And now we've got a substitution issue on the part of Dodge City. Flag is dropped, and Dodge City is going to be penalized for illegal substitution, so that'll help the Hutchinson.
5-yard penalty, first down.
That's the 13th fumble the Blue Dragons have lost this season, and that would be the 7th lost fumble in conference play.
It's hard to call out a fumble because nobody really had a chance to get to it. It was just a dreadful snap. So Dodge City trying to capitalize. Hutchinson had it at the Dodge City 47 and down to the 37-yard line on the first play from scrimmage, then the snap. Walters in the shotgun, loads it up, throws long, and good coverage by the Dragons. Too good, perhaps. A flag is dropped, and they are likely to tag Jerry Jacobs with pass interference.
He was certainly running stride for stride with the receiver. Jerry Jacobs has been an excellent cover corner all year. He has 3 interceptions on the season to lead the Dragons. Let's see what the flag is.
Well, the Dragons aren't backing up. Could they have called that offensive interference?
Yeah, it might have been because Jerry Jacobs truly was in great position on the coverage.
It's going to be offensive interference. Wow.
Pass interference, number 84. Offense.
All right. They mentor for shoving off against the Blue Dragon defender. And all of a sudden the ball comes back to the 37 of Dodge City. And it becomes a first down and 25 for the Conquistadors. Scoreless. Just a couple of minutes gone in this football game. Walters looks over at the sideline. Single wideouts to each side.
First down and 30.
And there's a give up the middle and a pickup of about 5 for A.J. Walker. Walker takes it from the 35 to the 40.
That's a little surprising that Dodge City chose to run the ball right up the middle on 1st and 30.
There's not too many plays in the playbook for 1st and 30. Second and 25, not a whole lot of them there. But this kid, and by kid we're talking about Caden Walters, has a strong arm. He can throw it downfield. Although the last time he tried to throw deep, he underthrew. Walters back, loads it up, steps up, buys some time, and delivers it out of the reach of his intended receiver out at the 48-yard line. It was thrown in the direction of Caleb Mills, but Mills can't get to it. It's 3rd and very long.
Devontae Just and Jeremiah Hyde put some pressure on Caden Walters. It was just a 3-man rush for the Blue Dragons, but 2 of those 3 nearly sacked Caden Walters. He had to scramble.
3rd down, 26, and back to the run, and the Dragons make a play on the back to the line of scrimmage, and no farther goes A.J. Walker. Bad snap.
Jeremiah Hyde with the tackle for loss. He was into the backfield in a hurry and made a good, strong, secure tackle. So the defense for the Blue Dragons came through in a big way here in the first quarter.
Marcus Edwards back at his 20, awaits the punt from Chad Stevens. Gets a good snap, gets off another nice punt, high. Fair catch signaled and made by the Blue Dragon safety at the 27-yard line. So the Blue Dragons lose some significant yardage on the exchange, but Hutchinson still tied with Dodge City with 11:24 to go in the first quarter. Scoreless. Second possession for the Dragons. And Coach Knack, Hutchinson simply, they like to run out of that shotgun. They like to operate out of the shotgun, but you have to have a reasonable snap for the quarterback. in order to make that work.
For many years, I told all our centers, your three main jobs are get the ball to the quarterback, get the ball to the quarterback, get the ball to the quarterback.
And the snap's a little high, but handled, backwards pass, caught by Irwin. He takes it to the 30-yard line and maybe as far as the 32-yard line before being pushed down. Jalen Irwin with his 22nd catch of the season. Although I believe that might go as a lateral. They threw it backwards.
I think that might go as rushing yards. Blue Dragons, they've had some success early in this game moving the ball. They just had that miscue on the bad snap that stopped their drive the first time. I always feel like if you can get some good blocking out of the center, that's icing on the cake. But we've got to get the ball to the quarterback.
Dominic Taylor is the Hutchinson center. Snap is okay. Forrest loads it up, delivers it on target to B.J. Emmons. Emmons takes it forward for a first down out to the 40-yard line.
Dakota Anderson made the tackle on the open field. Had he not made that open field tackle, this play might have been going for another 20 yards.
So the Blue Dragons pick up a first down and some field position out to the 40-yard line. 10.5 to play in the first quarter. Hutchinson at 6-4. Dodge City with those digits turned around 4-6 on the year.
Forrest under center this time.
Sends Irwin in motion across the formation, left to right. Takes the snap, hands off, and a hole up the middle, in a big hole. And through it goes Emmons for another first down to the 47 of Dodge City. Well blocked by the Blue Dragon offensive front.
Gain of 13.
So Emmons picking up some significant running yardage, gets 13 on that carry.
You hit it on the head, Rusty. That play, the Blue Dragon offensive line blew Dodge City backwards, created a lot of running room.
Now back to the shotgun go the Dragons. High snap. Again, they run the reverse, and it looks like it's going to work again, and then cover up. And what looked at first like pretty good yardage for the Blue Dragons turns out to be a gain of just 2 by Nigel Moore.
Nigel Wright made the tackle. It was one of those plays that goes in the book as a pass, but the ball probably only went about a foot in the air. It almost looks like a handoff, but it actually goes as passing yards.
Second down at the 45 of Dodge City. Second down and 8 for the Dragons, who were moving the football before the bad snap on the first occasion. This is going to be a quarterback run. Now Forrest pitches, and down the sideline go the Dragons. This will be all the way down inside the 10-yard line. Beautifully pitched to Deshaun Waller. You want to hang on to that football as long as you can. Dragons ran the option pitch beautifully and have a first and goal.
Malik Wilson had to come all the way across the field to stop that play on the Conquistador 8-yard line. It was a beautifully designed play. They sent, most of the Blue Dragons went to the right, and then they ran with speed option to the left.
So Hutchinson with an early opportunity. Inside the 10. High snap, handled nicely. Ball thrown out in the flat, caught by Waller at the 10, at the 5, and down to the 2-yard line before being pushed out of bounds. Second and goal from 2 yards away.
Dodge City had a bye week last week, so they have enjoyed 2 weeks to prepare for the Hutchinson Blue Dragons. But right now, the Blue Dragons look to be the sharper of the two teams.
City backed up as only a couple of yards. Eric shifts his fullback a little bit to the left, hands off and up the middle, diving into the end zone for the touchdown. B.J. Emmons and the Blue Dragons put together a nice drive for the first points of this Saturday afternoon. Hutchinson 6, Dodge City nothing with the extra point coming.
He dove further through the air than you normally see a running back. He probably went airborne at about the 3-yard line and soared all the way across the goal line. That was impressive. He could be in the Olympics with a leap like that one.
Now Luke Niemeyer on to tack on the extra point. He has been almost perfect. 1 miss in 38 tries. The extra point is up, and this one is good. Hutchinson 7. And Dodge City, nothing. Dodge City gets the football when we return to Memorial Stadium in western Kansas after this. All right, the Blue Dragons moving the football on their first possession, gave it up with a fumble resulting from a bad snap. Second possession, though, they sustained a drive into the end zone. Nice on play on that drive, and Hutchinson with the early lead, 7-0. Not quite halfway through the first quarter.
Hutchinson has looked sharp on both sides of the football with the exception of the one bad snap. They've really looked good.
Short kick. Murphy runs up, fumbles it. Dodge City covers it up at the 27-yard line. Then Hutchinson says, we got in there to get it. It would be a big moment if indeed Hutchinson did. I thought the might have been blown dead. Nope, Hutchinson recovers a fumble at the 27-yard line. Now, Rodney Murphy is a good return guy, but he is used to handling the ball down around the 10, the 5-yard line. He had to run up to make that catch, hit him in the chest and bounced off, and I thought one of his teammates was all over the top of it, but the Dragons, burrowing under the pile, come up with it.
He definitely was in full stride, running full speed ahead. Sometimes that's harder to do than it looks to catch a kick when you're running full stride. Certainly appeared that James Spann would cover that fumble for Dodge City, but one of the Blue Dragons wrestled it away from him.
Great opportunity for Hutchinson. And a handoff. Dragons running laterally, rarely works, and it doesn't work here. Loss on the play of 3 or 4 yards. Dragons put it in the hands of Otis Williams, and that time Otis knocked down for a loss of 4 yards. One would think this is a golden opportunity for the Blue Dragons. If they could put some points on the scoreboard here and move up in the early going by more than a single score, it would be tough on Dodge. But it is a 2nd down and 14 the Dragons must overcome. Eric Forrest. And it is broken up. Nice hustling defensive play by Braxton Haley.
Braxton Haley closed a lot of ground to get his left hand outstretched to knock that pass away. He has broken up the pass that probably would have been about an 8-yard gain.
Braxton Haley actually playing both ways, offense and defense, which is really unusual.
He's actually listed as a wide receiver, so remember the conquistadors. Absolutely.
So it is a 3rd down and 14. Braxton made a big play there. High snap again. Forrest tracks it down. He's being chased. He's buried way back at the 47-yard line. I mean, Dodge City came pouring through the Dragon offensive front like there wasn't anybody there. And Eric Forrest didn't even have time to turn around.
That was a tough play for the Blue Dragons because Dodge City went with an all-out blitz, actually had a safety blitz, and we were just talking about Braxton Haley. He was the first one in the backfield to get credit for that sack.
It's A.J. Morton that is back deep for Dodge City, and Hutchinson, punter, will have to do a great job of getting out of there. That punter is Donovan Gagan, and he gets off a nice punt. Fair catch signaled and then not made, and the ball bounces out of bounds at the 1. Out of bounds at the 1-yard line. How about that punt from Donovan Gagan?
Well, that's a 45-yard punt to pin Dodge City back on their own 1-yard line. Dodge City does not have a very good rushing attack on offense. They certainly are going to be forced to do what they can, but
Blue Dragons have given up some safeties this year. Maybe they can get one right here.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Rusty. That would be a godsend for the Blue Dragons at this stage.
Rodney Murphy is the back standing beside Caden Walters. They'll both be about 4 yards deep in their end zone. To take this snap, Walters hands it off, and pretty good job out across the 5-yard line, and is not eager to go down at all is Rodney Murphy, and that'll bring a flag or two, and the local fans reacting. Now more flags go flying. An official grabs one of the Dodge City players and will try to keep him away.
He is hot. He's taking his helmet off. He's still chirping at the Blue Dragons as he goes to the sideline.
That's Rodney Murphy. And He's grabbed by his coach, and he's not interested in talking to his coach either.
At this point, you just have to give Rodney a little bit of space. He's just thrown his helmet on the sideline.
Pretty sure the first penalty was on Hutchinson. Not sure what the second one, because flags came in at 2 different times.
Right now, Rodney's bird is pretty high.
And his coach grabs it. He started to go back out on the football field.
I'm more interested in this WWE match between Rodney and his coach than the football game right now.
And the officials will administer the penalties, but obviously some unpleasantries early on this Saturday afternoon.
Oh, now here comes the jersey. Rodney's taking the jersey off. We'll have to hear what the officials have to say. We'll try to get the volume up so you can hear the officials' announcement.
No announcement's been made yet. I'm pretty sure the first one is on the Dragons, but we'll see.
He's trying to get all the numbers sorted out right now. I think there's multiple fouls.
Unsportsmanlike conduct number 11 on the defense. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 21 on the offense. All fouls offset. The result of the play is second down at the 6-yard line.
45 yards in penalties, all offsetting.
Glenn Grunwald, I hope you're listening. We appreciate the fact that you supplied us with a field microphone, because I don't think Rusty and I could have remembered all of that to repeat it on the air. 3 penalties on the same play.
Well, the first one came on Quinn Head. The latter 2 were on Dodge City, and I'm kind of amazed that Rodney didn't get one.
He did.
Oh, he
got one too.
Okay.
68 is Kent Foster. He's an offensive lineman for the Conquistadors. So number 68 for Dodge City. Number 21, Rodney Murphy for Dodge City, get penalties. And number 11, Quinn Head, gets the sportsmanlike penalty for the Blue Dragons. And the net result, yardage, nothing. Is offset.
Now they're gonna.
Oh,
what are they gonna do?
Well, I think they decided
to step off
since there were 2 against Dodge City.
Step off the 15 against the Dragons, and then we should have 2 step offs the other direction, each half the distance to the goal line.
Number 11 on the defense, 15 yards from the end of the play to the 21. The second unsportsmanlike was on number 60.
And now they'll take the ball after moving it down to the 10.5-yard line. They'll move it to the 5.25-yard line.
The third unsportsmanlike on number 21 is half the distance to the goal. We will replay second down.
All right, since they decided that those penalties do not offset, so they actually marked off all 3 of the penalties.
I was trying to figure out how they could, since there were 2 on Dodge City. But the net effect is, because the 2 walk-offs that went against Dodge City were each half the distance to the goal line, the ball is right where it was after the running play.
I always felt it's a little bit unfair when one team just happens to be inside the 30-yard line or the 20-yard line, in this case deep in their own territory. They don't get penalized as bad as the other team.
Second down and 6 for Dodge City after all of that.
Because it's half the distance against the offense in this situation, since the ball was clear back inside the 10 to start with.
Caden Walters gets a low snap, hands it off, and a gain out to about the 8-yard line. That was Tyler Miner on the carry.
Oh my goodness, number 89, Lewis Wallace for Hutchinson, really swallowed him up on that tackle, knocked his helmet off.
So it is a third down, and still he's back in there, so he's cooled off enough.
Well, I'll have to keep an eye on him just to make sure that he has his wits about him.
I bet they give him the football here.
He might be hard to tackle if they give him the football.
He's an angry young man.
He's confused about where to line up right now. He keeps moving back and forth.
And Dodge will take a timeout, and we will too. 5:06, an entertaining football game. We have 5:06 left in the first quarter, that is. It is Hutchinson 7-0. We're right back. We're going to keep it right here. Dodge City with Rodney Murphy not able to get lined up, or not able to decide between lining up to the left of Walters or to the right. And Dodge City spends a timeout. When we go back to action, it will be a third down and between 3 and 4 yards to go for the Conquistadors. If Hutchinson can hold here, the Blue Dragons would be a good bet to get the ball on the punt inside the 50-yard line.
Although the first Dodge City punt was a beauty that went very, very deep, it was returnable.
Sunny Saturday afternoon in Dodge City. Winds picked up a little bit, but still not a huge factor at all. And Caden Walters in the shotgun. Murphy to his right.
Now there's a little confusion on the defensive backfield. It's a different formation than before the timeout.
They do give it to Reggie, and Reggie is dragged down immediately. The first down. A Dragon got terrific penetration there. Was it? Might have been Drew Harvey. But at any rate, it is fourth down and punt time.
It was, in fact, Drew Harvey. He was turned sideways to us, so we couldn't see the front or the back of his jersey until he started to go off the field.
Marcus Edwards awaits the punt at the 45 of Dodge City. The punt will come out of the end zone, and the snap has to be a good one. It is. Dragon almost get to it. Might have gotten just a piece of it. The ball takes a Dodge City roll, but it's going to be down near the 39-yard line.
Clarence Hicks came busting through the offensive line, and if he didn't block it, he certainly came close.
And the punt went straight up in the air. It took a Dodge City bounce initially. Hutchinson with good field position. This is the second possession for the Blue Dragons to start inside the 50-yard line. The Blue Dragons have scored once, and ironically, it was on the possession that started back at its own 27. Eric Forrest in the shotgun. And they're going to throw it. Flea flicker. They throw it back to Forrest. He juggles, and can't catch it. He pitched it to Hunter Sims, and Hunter Sims came right back to Forrest, who was breaking down the field on the left side, juggled it for about 5 yards, couldn't hang on. Might well have been a touchdown.
The pass could not have been any better. It hit him right in stride. Sometimes quarterbacks aren't used to going out for passes, but that was a beautiful pass, hit him just perfectly, and then it looked like an old episode of the Ed Sullivan Show with the guy juggling the plates, and ultimately it hit the turf.
The plates broke.
They did.
Second down 10 for the Dragons at the 39 of Dodge City, leading 7-0. Snap is okay. Ball thrown left, wide open at the 40, at the 35, but down to the 30-yard line, and a flag goes in. That might well have been a face mask. Hunter Sims pulled the ball down. He is short of the first down, but I think I saw a hand on the face mask of the Blue Dragon.
A Blue Dragon is injured on the play at the same time. That's another offensive line. That's Dominic Taylor, who's down and now being assisted off the field. He's not putting much weight on his right leg.
That's the young man who's been handling the snapping duties for the Dragon.
Number 2, offense, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay first down.
Wow, that penalty was against Marquise Whitmire.
Wow, did not see that. So, wipe out the play.
46.
That really puts the Blue Dragons back a long ways, because they would have had the ball on the Conquistador 30-yard line after the completed pass, and now back all the way to the Hutchinson 46.
They stepped it off from the line of scrimmage.
That's right. So in essence, that you might as well say that was a 24-yard penalty.
And it is second down.
Now let's see how the new center, we're going to go, Eric Forrest will go under center on this.
I think that's a lot safer. Forrest takes the snap, hands off, and Dragons' Desmond Jackson wrapping up the football to protect it, able to get only out to the 49-yard line, where he had both arms wrapped around that football.
He was practicing ball security there.
There have been some wild swings of feet, a lot of early penalties. Blue Dragons do lead it 7-0, 3 minutes to play in the first quarter.
Britt Bosley is the new center for Hutchinson. Sophomore out of Blue Valley Southwest.
And Forrest goes back in the gun, drops back, has time to throw, looking, delivers it to a safety valve, and the result is a catch down to the 45-yard line for the Blue Dragons. Johnny Lumpkin pulled it in. That's his 11th grab of the year. But Hutchinson has 4th down and a bunch and will punt.
Johnny Lumpkin's a big target at 6'6", 260 pounds. He definitely is somebody that you notice when you're watching a game.
The thing that concerns you about this game is a exceptional field position the Dragons have had, and they have turned it into just 7 points. Punts off, and it is not long at all. Kind of shanked off the side of the punter's foot. He winds up on his back. No flag dropped, and Dodge is going to come out of this with really good field position. And wind is becoming a little bit more. You look at the flags atop the stands on the far side, they look like they're blowing pretty hard. Then you look at the flag in the end zone down to our right, and it's hardly moving. But the punt was only from the 45-yard line down to about the 23, so a very short punt. Dodge City with pretty good field position, and we'll see if Dodge can move the football. They have not been able to do so thus far.
I grew up 5 blocks from this stadium till I was about 11 years old, and the wind does tend to swirl around this stadium. Yes, believe it or not, this stadium was here when I was that young 80 years ago.
Dragons might be offside. Drop, free play for Walters, throws it over the head of his intended receiver, pretty well covered at the 45-yard line, but it was a free play because Hutchinson was offside, unless Dodge City drew him, and I didn't see any motion.
Excellent coverage by Mike Witherspoon. The defensive backfield has to really focus in when there's that penalty flag.
Number 46, defense.
The offense has a free play, so you know they're going to take a shot at you.
Yeah, it was Jeremiah Hyde that got into the neutral zone. So it is a 1st and 5 for Dodge City, now out at the 28-yard line. 3 wideouts to the right side for the Conquistadors. Walters stands about 5 yards deep, gets a good snap, hands it off. Dodge City will run for about 3 or 4 of the needed 5 yards on the carry. Tyler Miner. It'll be a short yardage situation for Dodge City.
Adrian Cross came up to make the tackle. It's a pretty hard collision.
2nd down and 2 for the Conquistadors. The football now situated at the Dodge 31-yard line. You heard Coach Knack say this is a team picked by the coaches to finish 2nd in the conference. Right now, they are in the bottom spot of our league. Walters dropping back, has some time, throws it out to the side. It is caught, and caught for a 1st down at the 43-yard line, right on target to Braxton Haley. So Braxton Haley being a factor in a lot of ways in this game. Gets Dodge City a 1st down at the 43-yard line with still a little over a minute to play in the first quarter.
It's a rare thing to see a player on offense and defense in a college football game, but that's what we're seeing from Braxton Haley. There's a little bit of a breakdown in the Blue Dragon coverage that time. He was really wide open, and when he's wide open, you know Walters will deliver it.
Dodge City sets up with a triangle of receivers to the right. Dodge with that different setup, and Hutchinson wants to talk about it. We'll return with Hutchinson leading 7-0 right after this. our sideline reporter not able to be with us this afternoon, but we want to again reiterate how much we appreciate the support of the sideline sponsors. Oliver's Beef and Brew, Jackson Meat, Ty Cahoon Kinesiology. Those are great friends, not only of Hutchinson Community College football, but of the college in general. Let them know how much you appreciate them. Dodge City with a first down at the 43 on the Conk side of the 50. Just under a minute to play in the first quarter. Hutchinson 7-0. This is the first serious threat by Dodge City. Talon Humphrey a little bit late getting out of there. Now he's ready. And the Dragons will try to put a little bit of pressure on the Conks. Walters back to throw. Pressure comes, steps up in the pocket, delivers it over the middle, and it is dropped. Oh, well thrown, just off the fingertips of Braxton Haley, and Haley likely would have had a touchdown. He had a step on a couple of Blue Dragon defenders.
Story Jackson had the coverage. He was beaten by a step, as you said, Rusty, but just couldn't quite catch up to that pass.
Flag dropped in the area from which the ball was released. You always suspect either holding or perhaps roughing the passer. But the flag stops the clock with 53 seconds to go.
Personal foul, roughing the passer.
It is roughing the passer. That'll be a major penalty against the Blue Dragons. So that's to the 42-yard line of Hutchinson.
42-yard line. 15-yard penalty is good for a Conquistador.
First down at the 43-yard line of the Dragons.
And on the cell phone, there is a blue light that's flashing. Yeah, it's plugged in. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Walters hands off, and the Dragons are in the backfield, and flags fly immediately. And ball carrier dumped for a significant loss, but we checked the flags.
Number 99, Talon Humphrey, flags on the play. Personal foul, face mask, number 99, defense, 15-yard penalty.
And it's a personal foul on the Blue Dragons. So the second major penalty against the Dragons on this drive. Hutchinson really assisting a Dodge City offense that hasn't generated much on its own so far.
That flag was thrown on big number 99, Talon Humphrey, the 6'6", 360-pounder.
15-yard penalty is good for a Conquistador.
So they march off the penalty. That takes the ball all the way down to the Blue Dragon 27-yard line. 43 seconds remaining in the first quarter. The Dragons lead the Conquistadors 7-0. But the Dragons have pretty well dominated the first quarter up to this point.
All right. Dodge City able to get to the edge on the first down play and down inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. And Dodge City making some noise on this drive. That was Murphy on the carry.
This last 2 minutes of the first quarter, Dodge City has something clicking right now.
It is a pickup of 8 on first down. Walters hands off and running play off to the side, the big hole, and through it for a first down to about the 11-yard line slides Tyler Miner. And right now Dodge City finding some holes in that Blue Dragon defense. They run the play quickly. Run it to the left side, another nice hole, and down inside the 5, and a late flag dropped. The play was ending down at about the 3-yard line when the flag was dropped back at the 12. We'll check it out.
Based on Caden Walters' reaction, he thinks it's against the Conquistadors. They got up on the ball quickly and snapped it again while the defense was not exactly ready, but it could be a hold against Dodge City.
It's the last play of the first quarter, except that we'll probably have another.
Holding.
0-0-0 on the clock.
From the spot of the foul, we play second down.
They'll step the holding penalty off from where the foul occurred.
Usually they only run an untimed down when the last play of a quarter is against the defense. Let's see. Let's see if they're planning to run another down.
First down.
And they put the ball back at the 21-yard line, which means the...
Well, looks like they intend to run another play.
One more play.
Okay. I stand corrected.
Well, I think they're saying that when the foul occurred, there was still time on the clock.
That's a big penalty because Dodge City was certainly knocking on the door to the end zone.
Now they have a first down and about 20. Walters back to throw, buys some time with his feet, unloads, and it is picked off, intercepted by the Blue Dragons, Jerry Edwards. Edwards running laterally, stole it at the 10-yard line. He's out to the 20, the 25, and down the sideline he goes. And the Blue Dragon defense gives, and a flag is thrown on the end of that interception. By the way, for Blue Dragon defender Jerry Jacobs, his 4th interception of the season. For Dodge City quarterback Caden Walters, his 13th pick.
Another flag just went high into the air, and that one's got to be against Dodge City because the Dodge City players are giving the officials an earful.
And that's going to help the Hutchinson cause. Interception was by Jerry Jacobs.
I believe he returned that about 35, 40 yards.
He took it at about the 10-yard line, and the flag is dropped, resting at the 47-yard line. The officials will sort it out.
Pretty exciting play with no time to go off the clock since it was snapped with zeros at the end of the first quarter.
And we have not gotten an indication yet.
This could take a while to sort out.
The
flag.
He is back in. All right, he'll tell
on the offense. After the interception, personal foul, late hit out of bounds, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 7, 15 yards from the succeeding spot, automatic first down.
That's going to be 30 yards and penalties for the Blue Dragons to get excellent field position to start the second quarter.
After all of that, we're at the 36-yard line in one of the strangest flag-filled football contests I have seen. And are we actually going to now have the quarter?
I believe we're going to have the end of the quarter and go a different direction.
Well, let's check, because they're going to set it up, and the officials haven't picked up the football like we're done.
The Blue Dragons are heading to the other end of the field, but the officials are still on there.
And they just put the 15 minutes up for the second quarter. Let's make it a 30-second break. We're not quite sure how long they're going to take between quarters here, but the Blue Dragons get out of a hole thanks to the interception by Jerry Jacobs at his own 10-yard line. Nice return and a couple of personal fouls on Dodge City, helping out the Dragon cause. We're back in half a minute.
That was a different type of first quarter, Rusty.
How many penalty yards did we have, just out of curiosity?
Well, I'm looking for them on here. Penalty yards. 65 yards marched off against Hutchinson. 5 penalties for 65 yards. 7 penalties marched off against Dodge City for 62 yards. Between the two teams, that's 127 yards of penalties.
Dragons start another possession in Dodge City territory. Forrest operates out of the shotgun. Hit as he delivers it low. Was it caught? Couldn't tell. It a catch at the 20 by Marquise Whitmire. Boy, I thought that ball might have bounced. The official said, nope, got his hands underneath it.
And the official took a little bit of time before he made a signal. He had to think about that a little bit.
Well, 1 minute you're trying to keep the team out of your end zone. The next minute you've had an interception, a nice return, and 2 personal fouls, and all of a sudden it's Hutchinson in position to add some points to their 7-0. Another snap dropped by Forrest, picks it up, smothered under back at the 35-yard line. And that time Eric Forrest just took his eyes off the football, I think. Either that or the snap didn't come on the right count because it hit him in the hands.
Sometimes a quarterback is sneaking a peek at the defense to see where they're lined up, and I think that might have been the case on that snap. In the first quarter, Hutchinson gained 54 yards but had 65 yards of penalties assessed against them. Dodge City only gained 41 yards and had 62 yards of penalties assessed against them.
Mishandled snaps have cost the Dragons at least 30 yards on 2 occasions. Now it's second down.
Well, you're right. That first one that Dodge City recovered the fumble, that was a 25-yard.
Forrest throws, delivers it to B.J. Emmons. Emmons got and pulled down back at the 37-yard line for negative yardage.
Good tackle by Dana Lockhart, the sophomore out of Thomasville, Alabama.
So it is a third down for Hutchinson. Blue Dragons would have to get to the 14-yard line for a first down. The ball is at the 37-yard line. Hutchinson has had at least 3 possessions that started inside Dodge City country and has no points out of those possessions. They do have that one nice 73-yard touchdown drive for the only on the scoreboard. Forrest back to throw, steps up, unloads to the 30, and a flag flies, and a pretty good interception by Dodge City. And the defense is right now making the offenses not very proficient.
That was Malik Wilson, the freshman, with the interception. The ball floated a little bit, and Malik Wilson had time to adjust to it while it was in the air.
And for Eric Forrest, his 5th interception of the season. 4 of those have come in the last 2 games.
He actually had a receiver open, but he just floated the ball a little bit too far, but a little bit too much air under it as well.
During the return, walking back, number 18.
Illegal block on Dodge City, so add 15 yards to those 65 yards of penalties. Now they're approaching 80, and the Blue Dragons will benefit to the tune of a little bit better field position, but Dodge City will still have it. And the Hutchinson offense has just simply been given a lot of opportunities and not made much of them. Hutchinson does have the lead, 7-0. 15-yard line. Walters has A.J. Walker in the backfield with him. Rolls to his right, sets up, and is grabbed and hauled down inside the 5.
Jeff Mario Brown, I believe, made that sack.
So the Blue Dragons make a big play on defense. And now Dodge City looks at, I'm not sure I've ever done a football game where we've had as many 2nd and 20s and 30s as this game was featured.
The offenses have gone backwards either through miscues with handling the football or penalties. We have seen a lot of situations where there's been 20 or 30 yards to go for a first down.
And we're going to call this one 2nd down and 22. And Dodge City will try to run it, and they're going to get some significant yardage out across the 15 to the 17, 18-yard line. That's a nice run by A.J. Walker.
Very impressive run. He ran through a couple of tackles. Finally, Story Jackson had to bring him down from his safety position.
Not nearly enough for a first down, but a pickup on the play of about 14. Dodge City with 3rd and a manageable 8 yards to go at their own 18-yard line.
Blue Dragons will go with their 3rd and long defensive package, again with lots of fast guys on the defensive side of the ball. All 11 defensive players can run well that are on the field right now.
Walters looks over at the sideline. Now he's ready, takes the snap. 3-step drop, stays in the pocket, delivers it over the middle and throws it low. Had a receiver open, but just simply threw it at the feet of Caleb Mills. 4th down.
You know, Caleb Mills would have been well advanced. Just go ahead and do whatever he needed to do to make the catch, but had to make the shoestring catch while he continued to run, and that's almost impossible to do.
Dodge will punt the football away. And we'll see if either of these offenses can generate some points between now and halftime. Dragons lead it 7-0. Snap is good. The punt is good. Fielded at the 48-yard line, and wow, how did he hang on to it? What a job by Marcus Edwards. He was hit as he caught that football. Should probably have made a fair catch, but somehow hangs on. Hutchinson will have it near the midfield stripe.
Damian Kumaiti looked like he was a torpedo coming at him as he made that catch. And he hit him within just a fraction of a second after he received the football.
Hutchinson will have it at the 47-yard line on their half of the field. 11 minutes to play in the first half. 7-0 Dragons. Balance line left. It's a formation. Forrest back to throw. Pressure comes. Hit as he throws, and it is out of bounds. Well covered by Dodge City. Eric Forrest got hit the instant he released the football.
It was one of those situations where the defensive lineman was coming straight at Eric Forrest, and Eric knew he was probably going to end up on the turf, but he tried to make a play.
I'm not sure why the Dragons have gotten so totally away from running the football, but they have.
Dragons have shown the ability to run the football this year. I agree with you, Rusty.
2nd down and 10. Shotgun formation. And they go with a run and a pretty good gain across the midfield stripe to about the 49-yard line by Blue Dragon running back Andrew Lee. That is a gain of about 4, and it's 3rd down and 6. Neither of these quarterbacks, for the Blue Dragons, Eric Forrest, and for Dodge City, Caden Walters, getting much done throwing the football.
Blue Dragons really need to convert on this 3rd down opportunity.
Good snap. Forrest with time, runs out of it. Now unloads and throws it. I don't have any idea who he was throwing that to. There were 2 great jerseys there. Neither one of them could get it. The nearest Blue Dragon receiver, who obviously didn't run the right pattern, was 15 yards away. Incomplete pass.
Eric Forrest had some good protection, but then it broke down as he held the football. When he tried to throw the ball, he actually ran into the back of one of his own offensive linemen, and that maybe made the ball sail a little bit off target.
Should have been intercepted, but it wasn't. The Dragons will punt it from the Dodge 49-yard line. Gagan has had some beautiful punts in this game, gets off a spinner, handled on a fair catch at the 11-yard line. So Dodge City gets it back, still down just 7-0, and 10 minutes remaining in this first half. Hutchinson will play another game in the Salt City Bowl. Dodge will not. This will be the final game of the season for the Conquistadors. And for Gary Thomas and the Conquistadors, who are picked to finish 2nd in the league, it will be a season that is eminently forgettable. Dodge City starts at the 11-yard line.
We appreciate Oliver's, Ty Cahoon Kinesiology, and Jackson's Meats for sponsoring our sideline reports. We're doing those from the press box today as Glenn Grunwald prepares to cover Blue Dragon basketball at Seward County.
Walters hands off and toppled almost immediately as he crossed the 10-yard line was A.J. Walker. But at least we'll take some time off the clock. This has been a long first half.
Lots of penalty flags have slowed down the game, but again, it's been a fun game to watch.
Dodge City with 2nd down and 10. It has been rare for a team to have anything but 2nd down and long in this game. Dodge City quarterback Caden Walker steals a look at the sideline.
It's a beautiful day in Dodge City.
The play clock just ran out. I didn't see it.
I thought that the flags were going to fly,
and they aren't going to get anything out of it. But the clock went to 0 before the ball was snapped, but Hutchinson not going to object because Quinn Head in there on top of the ball carrier immediately.
Worked out for the best for the Blue Dragons because they made a tackle for a loss anyway. But I really thought a flag was going to be flying for delay of game. Just about to say, the weather has turned out so gorgeous here in Dodge City. If you would like to watch the game as you listen to the audio, that's available on BlueDragonSports.com.
So it is a third down now and about 15. That's about average for third downs in this game. Dodge will keep it on the ground, get some yardage out of it, but only out to the 9-yard line. Just trying to buy. Ball carrier again was A.J. Walker. And once again, Chad Stevens will likely have the end zone beneath his feet as he punts this football away. Blue Dragon defense has come up with some opportune plays. The biggest, an interception by Jerry Jacobs, his 4th of the year, that got Hutchinson an end to the only serious Dodge City threat. Punts, a pretty one, comes floating out of there. A fair catch signal made at the 48-yard line. And Marcus Edwards, after just about having his head handed to him on the last punt when he didn't signal a fair catch, handled with a fair catch. And the Dragons again with good field position, which they have had throughout the afternoon, but have not done much with as they lead just 7-0.
7:42 remaining in the second quarter. Dragons have the ball on their own 40. Would you call that the 48 or the 49?
I'm going to call it the 49. Within inches of being at the 49-yard line. Forced from the shotgun. Hands it off to Waller. Waller angling left, giving ground, stiff arms, gets run out of bounds, no gain. Couldn't get to the corner. Might have been able to put his head down and gain back to the line of scrimmage, but instead it'll be a loss of 2. And here we go again, Coach Knack. 2nd down and more than 10.
Got to give Conquistador defensive back or linebacker Nazir Wright a lot of credit for stringing that play out to the sideline. He was fighting off a blocker. That was Jason Troussaint out there blocking, but Wright was able to get it done.
Now, 5. And it'll be 3rd down and 5. And the way the crowd reacted, I thought perhaps there'd been a flag drop, but there was not.
Things are getting a little bit chippy again out on the field. That tackle was made on the sideline, but actually the Blue Dragon running back ran over the tackler, and the tackler went tumbling almost all the way to the track.
Dragons with a manageable 3rd and 5. High snap, handled by Forrest. Throws it, caught. 1st down Dragons as they flip it out in the flat, and Allen able to take it to the 35-yard line and maybe even down that sideline a bit farther. They're going to say he stepped out of bounds at the 34. Nice catch by Alan Bishop.
Nice catch, and certainly a coverage breakdown by the Conquistadors. No one accounted for him. When he caught the ball, there was not a Dodge City defensive player within 10 yards of him.
For Allen, his 5th catch of the football season. Hutchinson again threatening, leading 7-0, 6.5 to play in the first half. Forrest from the gun, loads it up, floats it out to the side, and it is caught for a 1st down at the 23-yard line. Reception made by Jawan Johnson. He's hauled down immediately. Boy, that ball hung up a little bit. Had the defensive back broken on it a little quicker, he might still be running.
You're exactly right.
Completed pass.
Damian Krumite, and I don't think he saw the ball coming because he definitely had time on it.
Instead, it is Hutchinson football inside the 25-yard line of Dodge City. Forrest hands off. Desmond Jackson puts his head down and is close to the 20.
Even though that was only a 4-yard gain, it was really well blocked. The offensive line for the Blue Dragons they are able to push the Dodge City defense backwards at the point of contact. That's always a good thing for the offense.
So it is a second down. Yeah, a little bit more than 6 yards to go for the Blue Dragons. They lead it 7-0. Eric Forrest in the gun, gets a good snap, wanted to run the pitch, kept it himself, and takes it to the 18-yard line.
Blue Dragons ran that play in the first quarter with a lot of success, had a big gain out of it, where the Blue Dragons, it's a misdirection speed option play where they send all of the offensive players run to the right except for the quarterback and one running back, and those two go the other direction. That time Dodge City defended it much better.
Yeah, that was a big play that enabled Hutchinson a couple of plays later to get into the end zone. 3rd down 5 for the Dragons. And they give it on the reverse, and it's going to be close, but I think just short of the first down will be Jalen Irwin. And now if you're Hutchinson, with a single score lead in the game, you look at a 4th down and about 1, and I say bring on the field goal team.
Looks like Coach Rhodes is electing to stay with the offense instead. It is a short run.
Hutchinson quickly to the line of scrimmage. Forrest under center, puts his head down. I don't know. He didn't need much. He didn't get much. They're going to get a good spot. Should be a first down.
Dodge City wrestled the ball away from him, but it was already blown dead.
So Coach Rhodes again rolling the dice just a little bit. Hutchinson saying it's going to pay off for a first down.
Pretty good spot.
And the agree. It'll be a first down for the Blue Dragons. Well, they're going to measure it.
Down around the 13-yard line.
A big moment in this football game, a single score advantage for the Dragons, 7-0. And they stretch the chain, and it is going to be short.
Oh my goodness, that is short by about 2 inches. It's a hard judgment call to make when you're the official on a play like that where the quarterback runs a quarterback sneak right as he's in there.
Yeah.
I've often wondered how officials decide exactly where to mark those.
Well, I think if an official is honest with you, they make a guess. They make their best judgment. And although from a admittedly biased viewpoint to this reporter, it looked like Hutchinson had enough, the measurement says no, and Dodge City gets the football back, and Hutchinson, disdaining an almost sure field goal, continues to lead 7-0, but Dodge City has the football.
The Blue Dragon defense has been impressive, so they might be able to make some magic happening deep in Conquistador territory.
Caden Walters hands off, and Dodge City hasn't had any success running the football, and they don't really have any there either. It was Murphy carrying the football for the Conks.
The fact that the Blue Dragon defense has played so well could have been to Coach Ryan Rhodes' decision to go for it on 4th and kick the field goal.
It is a second down. I gave him a little bit more than I thought they might have. Second down, about 7.5. Walters takes the snap, hands off. Again, the Dragons on the slant play to the right side are equal to the task, and it is a very short game.
Jeremiah Hyde made the tackle. Blue Dragons have all 3 of their timeouts. The clock is running, about 3 minutes to play in the first half. They might want to consider taking a timeout after this next play if it's a running clock.
Rodney Murphy, the ball carrier. And Dodge tries to draw the Dragons offside unsuccessfully. Walters again barking. Dragons don't jump, and now Dodge will have to spend a timeout.
Play clock was down to 1 second.
So we'll take a break. 2:45 to go in the first. 0-0 Hutchinson. Back after this. Dodge City has a third down and 6 at the 17-yard line. They're into the field. Measurement go against them. 18-yard line.
If the Blue Dragons get a stop on this play, though, they'll get the ball back and have another shot at putting some more points on the board before halftime. The Blue Dragons have all 3 of their timeouts still available.
Walters comes out there. The running back will be, well, Walters going to be all by himself. Back there in that backfield. Trips to the left side. 2 wideouts to the right side. No problem with plenty of people being on the line of scrimmage. Walters throws it over the middle, and it is incomplete. 25-yard line. That pass A.J. Morton.
Dodge City did Hutchinson a favor by throwing an incomplete pass and stopping the clock with 2:41 remaining in the first half.
Dragons will have 2 timeouts.
3. Oh, did the Dragons take a timeout earlier?
I think they took one earlier. Scoreboard's indicating 2 timeouts for Hutch.
I'm showing that Dodge City has used all 3 of their timeouts, and the scoreboard's showing Dodge City still has a timeout left. Maybe I wrote it down wrong.
Maybe I called it wrong. Punts off. It's a line drive. This one returnable. Taking it to 48-yard line, and Jacobs starts upfield. That's not Jacobs. That's Marcus Edwards, and Edwards picks up about 5 yards on the return. Hutchinson again with great field position at the 44 of Dodge City. 2.5 to go in the first half.
Tyler Miner made the tackle. He's an outstanding running back for Dodge City on the punt cover team.
All right, let's see what the Dragons can do with this possession.
2.5 minutes, plenty of time. They take over at the Dodge City 44-yard line, so certainly they have enough time to put this ball on.
Eric Forrest looking first for a good snap and secondly for a little bit of protection so he can find a receiver. Gets the first. They try to run the pitch. Somehow they get it off, and the Dragons are going to lose about 7 or 8 yards. That was dangerous. Dragons got the pitch to Marcus Edwards at the instant Forrest was hit. How that ball didn't come loose, I have no idea. Hutchinson loses 7 on the play.
David Monroe got deep into the backfield, and he almost tackled the quarterback and the running back at the same time.
And the Blue Dragons look at, once again, 2nd down and way more than 10, 2nd down and 18.
When you run a trick play, you need a little bit of time in the backfield to let it develop. Blue Dragons had no time on that one.
Well, this offensive line for Hutchinson is so banged up. There's a high snap. Forrest miraculously pulls it down, gets it off to Emmons, and Emmons breaks a tackle. He's at the 40, battling down close to a first down. What a job, first of all, by Eric Forrest to field what looked like a rocket launch over his head, and then Emmons managed to break a couple of tackles, and Hutchinson all of a sudden winds up with it at the 38-yard line.
On that run, B.J. Emmons shows that he is a big-time running back. 3 Dodge City Conquistadors had a hold of him, and he just ran through all 3 of them.
3rd down, 4. 4-down territory for the Dragons. And Emmons will get the carry. Emmons starts left and hesitates, tries to cut it back, and is buried under. Little gain, if any, on the play. 4th down and long. I don't know whether we're in range of Chewy Parga's field goal or not.
That would be a long field goal attempt and a dangerous one when you're only ahead by 7 points.
Yeah, in excess of 50 yards. Not going to try that one.
We saw Fort Scott attempt a long field goal, and Hutchinson blocked it, gave Hutchinson an opportunity to get back into that football game.
It certainly did. And it looks like the Dragons are going to bring the punt team out.
Good decision. When you try a field goal, the longer the field goal is, usually the lower the trajectory and the easier it is to block. And if the other team blocks a field goal attempt, oftentimes they can scoop and score.
Donovan Gagan wants this ball down inside the 10. The official still hasn't marked the ball ready for play. That's probably a deliberate penalty on Hutchinson.
Absolutely.
They took delay a game so that Gagan will have a little more real estate to work with. Hutchinson has had remarkable field position throughout the first half, but just one score. Gagan's punt is high, and the Dragons can't get down there, and it bounds into the end zone. So it comes out to the 20, and Dodge City will have 1:04 left. One timeout, 80 yards ahead, trailing 7-0. We are nearing the end of the first half.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Dodge City take a chance. They're 4-6. They have nothing to lose. They have a quarterback who has an outstanding arm, even though they're on their own 20. You never know what they might try.
To be honest, Caden Walters hasn't been very accurate here in the first half. No significant passing yardage on the part of either team.
Credit that Blue Dragon defense. They put pressure on him up front, and the defensive secondary, for the most part, came through with good coverage in the first half.
Running back behind him and to his right as he operates from the shotgun. That is Rodney Murphy. Low snap. They throw it to Murphy. Murphy with the catch and racing down the sideline. Makes a nice cut and gets across the 35-yard line. A flag comes in. That's going to be face mask.
Drew Harvey grabbed him by the face mask. And that's going to tack on probably another, is that 15 yards?
Yep. That'll be 15 yards. And all of a sudden, Dodge City with a chance.
Rodney Murphy shows what he can do in the open field. He caught that on the swing pass out in the flat, kicked it into high gear immediately.
And Dodge City, for just the second time in this football game, crosses the 50-yard line at the Hutchinson 49. A timeout and under a minute to play. Walters wants the throw, unloads the screen pass, complete, taking it to 50-yard line, taken down to the 42-yard line, 3 yards short of a first down, and Dodge will likely spend a timeout.
Well, they did have one left. You were exactly right, and now they have used it.
And while they break, we will too. 40 seconds left in the first half. Dodge a little slow to call that timeout. Hutchinson still hanging on, 7-0. We're back after this. Second down and 4 for Dodge City. No timeouts. Ball at the Hutchinson 43. Hutchinson with the lead 7-0. An option run to Waller setting up that score. As Waller ran it about 40 yards down the sideline, setting up a 1st and goal that Hutchinson converted, and that's so far been the only points of the first half. Dodge City with an opportunity. Taking a long time to get this play off. Play clock inside 5. Walters takes the snap, stays in the pocket, now rolls to his right, being chased, and it is broken up. Tried to get it to his safety valve, and now flag flies, and that's going to be roughing the quarterback. Holding, could be holding.
Walters waited in the pocket as long as he possibly could, and then he rolled out to his right, threw the ball on the dead run. He did get hit after he released it.
Number 11 on the defense, roughing the passer.
Roughing the passer on Quinn Head.
One of those judgment calls. There wasn't anything egregious, but certainly it's within the officials' discretion to throw the flag on that.
30 yards in penalties on Hutchinson on this drive, and Dodge City moving ever closer, now at the 28-yard line.
33 seconds remaining. Dodge City does not have any more timeouts.
And they're not going to run it. Walters looks at the sideline, play signaled in. Gets the snap, drops back, has time, unloads over the middle, open receiver, dropped in the end zone. Dragon defender recovered amazingly right at the end of that play. Devon Henderson made a whale of a play. Looked like a touchdown catch all the way for Caleb Mills, and the defensive play takes it away.
Well, that was just within a whisker of being 6 points for the Dodge City Conquistadors.
Tremendous play by Blue Dragon defender.
That would have been Adrian Cross on the coverage.
It was Cross back there. I said Devon Henderson. It was 5 instead of 9. Pressure comes, ball floated out, and that's going to be pass interference on the Dragons down at the 1-yard line.
There really wasn't much question about that pass interference call.
Now remember, in the college game, it's not like the pro game. It'll be 15 yards from the line of scrimmage, and that will be on the Dragons on this Dodge City drive, 45 yards in penalties. And more 22 seconds left to work with for Dodge City. The clock stops on every one of those penalties.
That's right. Remember, the Conquistadors are out of timeouts, and the Blue Dragons are stopping the clock for the Conquistadors. That one was Devon Henderson that got flagged for the interference call, and it was a no-doubter. He was certainly grabbing the receiver for about 10 yards.
They put the ball down at the 13-yard line. Now, certainly Dodge City is within field goal range at the very least.
Dodge City doesn't have a lot of faith in their field goal kicker, though, I don't think.
Although, he's 4 out of 6. Longest one made, though, just a 27-yarder. Walters wants more than that. Pressure comes. He floats it out, and it is incomplete in the end zone. They let a lot of contact go inside the.
Here comes the flag for Devon Henderson. Really good coverage, but sometimes, well, really all the time, it's better to let your play do the talking for you rather than your tongue.
Another penalty on the Blue Dragons. Penalties have plagued Hutchinson since the very beginning of this year, and I know it drives Coach Ryan Rhodes absolutely crazy on the sideline. This now will mean another step off. That'll take it down to the yard line. That's a half the distance to the goal penalty. Dragons 52 yards in penalties on this drive. My gracious.
The receiver ran out of bounds and tried to come back in, so he would not have been able to make the catch under any circumstances after he stepped out of bounds and came back in.
Now, Henderson coming off the field. And Dodge City now with 17 seconds to go inside the 10 at the 7.
They'll have to take shots into the end zone.
The ball thrown quickly out to the left. It is incomplete.
That was, I'm befuddled by that play call, because had he caught the ball, it would have been maybe a gain of 1.
They were at least working the sideline to where he would have gotten out of bounds.
True.
But now 15 seconds left. This whole been Hutchinson penalty, Hutchinson penalty, Hutchinson penalty, Hutchinson penalty. And all of a sudden, Dodge City with a gift-wrapped opportunity at the 7-yard line.
But with all of that said, the Blue Dragons could still go in at halftime ahead 7-0.
They could, no question. And Hutchinson fans hoping for just that. Time to throw, and a receiver open, but the ball delivered well to the outside, incomplete.
10 seconds remaining, so Dodge City has time for 2 more shots at the end zone.
You know, if you're thinking field goal right now, they'd set it down. It'd be about a 24, 25-yard opportunity, but obviously one more chance at the very least for Dodge City to get a potentially tying touchdown.
Might be a good idea for Dodge City to take a shot in the end zone. If it's incomplete, send out the field goal kicker.
Walters takes the snap, drops back, has time, steps up, throws. No flags, 4 seconds left.
Mike Witherspoon had the coverage. I'll tell you what, that was amazing coverage by the Blue Dragons secondary because Caden Walters had
a lot of
6 seconds back there to find an open receiver, and he couldn't find one.
Apparently they will bring on the field goal team. The Dodge City kicker is Devontae Guillory. He is 4 out of 6. They'll put this down at the 14-yard line within his range. This to make it 7-3 at halftime. Snap is okay. Kick is blocked, and the Dragons field it and are off to the races. For the Blue Dragons, Marcus Edwards. He might go. Gets a great block. No flags. Edwards down that sideline. If this stands, it's a Dragon touchdown. And it is. I don't see any flags. Block field goal, and it's Jerry Jacobs. Jerry Jacobs, the number 3 on defense, making a play of the game. He had a pass interception earlier that bailed the Dragons out, and on that improbable ending to the first half, the Blue Dragons get a touchdown.
Unbelievable. Here we are thinking about, my goodness, the Blue Dragon defense are shooting themselves in the foot with all these penalties. Dodge City drives it all the way down to the Hutchinson's 7-yard line, attempts a field goal on 4th down as time is running out. Blue Dragons blocked the field goal. Jerry Jacobs scooped it and scored all the way. It was a 90-yard or 85-yard blocked field goal returned for a touchdown.
How good has the play of Jerry Jacobs been in this first half? The pass interception that snuffed out a Dodge City drive at the 10-yard line, and then he scoops up a block, and I'm not sure what Blue Dragon got in there to make the contact.
Number 8 on the kicking team.
Dodge City gets penalized. And what are they going to do?
They're going the wrong. It must have been against Hutchinson.
It must have been against Hutch. Well, why not one more 15-yard penalty against the Dragons? They said it was on the kicking team. They must mean the team that's about to kick the extra point.
I think that's right. That's where I was confused.
Which now comes from the 24-yard line. It's a 34-yard field goal, basically. If good, it only counts with 1. And that is blocked. And this half is finally over. 13-0 Dragons at halftime in a half that could not possibly have pleased any of the offensive coaches on either side. Hutchinson has much the better of it, 13-0. And an injured Blue Dragon on the play. Was that the kicker?
Well, I know that Chris James, the holder, covered that block kick because remember in college,
you can return it.
Yeah, that could have been returned for 2 points for Dodge City had Chris James not covered that blocked kick.
They're continuing to tend to the injured Blue Dragon, and it's Niemeyer.
Yep, that is the kicker.
And he is pretty gimpy. And in fact, I'd say it's questionable whether he's going to do any kicking in the second half. First half is over, and it is 13-0 Hutchinson. And I'm not sure 2 minutes is enough to
we got to catch our breaths.
Put our thoughts together. Jerry Jacobs with a couple of marvelous plays for the Blue Dragons defensively. Hutchinson with the only offense of the game, and the Blue Dragons lead it. We're back in 2 minutes. Well, it is halftime in one of the strangest football games it has been my opportunity to watch in a long, long while. Both of these teams have not played particularly well late in the season, and I'm sure that neither Hutchinson coach Ryan Rhodes nor Dodge City coach Gary Thomas can possibly be pleased at the offenses that have been on display in this first half. Hutchinson has the lead at halftime, 13-0. The Blue Dragons put together the only good drive of the first half, and it was culminated with B.J. Emmons scoring from 2 yards out. Big play in that drive was an option pitch to Otis Waller, and he took it down the sideline to about, I said Otis, actually Deshaun Waller. He took it down the sideline to the 6-yard line. Dragons were able to get it in from there. The other points came on that blocked field goal right at the end of the first half. Hutchinson returning that, and doing the job for the Blue Dragons was Jerry Edwards. He returned it 86 yards officially for a score. Dragons got penalized for unsportsmanlike conduct at the end of the play, and so had to try the extra point from the 24-yard line. Got it blocked. Luke Niemeyer appeared to be injured on the play. The place kicking for the Dragons in the second half remains to be seen. In that first half, these two teams combined for 256 yards of penalties. The Blue Dragons had 136 yards of penalties, and Dodge City had 120. Both teams had more penalty yardage than they did offensive yardage in that first half. For the Blue Dragons, 102 yards of offense, 136 yards of penalties. For Dodge City, 67 yards of offense, 120 yards of penalties. Leading rusher in the game is Deshaun Waller with 35. All that coming on one carry. In fact, he only had 2 carries in that first half. For Dodge City, the leading rusher is A.J. Walker. He has only 16 yards. Eric Forrest, throwing primarily short, has completed 10 of 14 for 63 yards, does have an interception. Caden Walters has gone 5 of 16 for Dodge City for 41 yards. It has not been the kind of game that anybody expected, but the Blue Dragons had the better of it here at the halftime break by a score of 13-0. This has been the Medicine Shop first half game capsule. The Medicine Shop would like me to remind you that if you are purchasing Medicare Part D insurance, you have until December 7th to make your decision, and they would like to help you. All you need to do is to stop by the Medicine Shop at 14th and Main, or give them a call at 620-663-7681. Let them know what medications that you're using, the medications you expect to use. They'll find the best plan tailored to your specific drug list. In fact, they'll give you 3 plans, and you can pick the one you want. They'll go over each one and tell you what you can expect to pay based on your experience of the last year. The window of change, again, runs through December the 7th. So stop by the Medicine Shop or give them a call soon. We're going to take a 2-minute break. We'll be back with more halftime from Western Kansas.
We're at Dodge City Memorial Stadium, where the Hutchinson Blue Dragons lead the Dodge City Conquistadors 13-0 at halftime, and we're joined by one of the best sports information directors in the country, and beyond that, one of the best people in the country. Steve Carpenter is with us at the press box. Welcome aboard, Steve.
Thank you, Coach Knack. Interesting half to let the Dragons have the lead and hopefully build a little bit momentum for the second half after that blocked field goal.
Quite a change of fortunes at the end of the first half there.
Yeah, it really was. Dodge City was starting to build some momentum. They found a few things. Caden Walters was working the ball down the field. The Dragons helped a little bit with penalties, but they were in position to score. Defense made a stand in the red zone and blocked the field goal. It was Michael Witherspoon with the block, and then Jerry Jacobs returned it 85 yards for a touchdown. So that's a big momentum-type swing in just a few seconds. You thought Dodge City was going to go in probably minimum down 7-3. Now they're down 13-0.
And then Dodge City blocks the extra point to end the half. Luckily, Chris James covered that block, so Dodge City didn't have the opportunity to return that one for a couple of points the other direction.
Yeah, there have been some real momentum-type plays. You had Jerry Jacobs' interception deep. That was returned out to near midfield, a couple of blocks. If you're looking for a clean football game, this is not the one you're going to want to watch, but you got two teams battling out there, and that's good to see. You've got two teams that really, this game is meaningless in terms of conference standings, in terms of any national ramifications. So, things are getting a little bit out of control sometimes, but the kids are fighting, and that's what you want to see.
It's very entertaining. I hope the listeners are enjoying listening to this game and possibly watching on BlueDragonSports.com, because I certainly know I'm enjoying watching it. Anytime you have two teams that play hard, even if they make a few mistakes, it's still worth watching. In that first half, there were actually 19 penalties, 11 against the Blue Dragons, 8 against Dodge City. 136 yards of penalties against Hutchinson, 120 yards penalized against Dodge City, but yet the players were getting after it.
They really were, and again, you get the blood boiling. You're playing now. Before the game is meaningless. Now the game, you're into the flow a little bit, and things get a little bit chippy out there. It's just part of the game nowadays where chippiness does enter into the play. But the referees are doing a good job of actually keeping it from really blowing up. You hope it doesn't come to that, but at the same time, you want these kids to play hard, even though that there's really nothing to play for. This is Dodge City's last game of the year. Blue Dragons are still going to have the Salt City Bowl. So, in terms of the Dragons trying to break this 3-game losing streak and try to go into the bowl game with a little bit of momentum, there is something to play for Hutchinson.
Well, and every opportunity you have to compete, it's a chance to play. And every competitor wants to put their best foot forward and perform as best they can, because they all invest. The coaches, the players, the managers, the staff, they all invest a lot into a season.
I said down to kickoff that if I were a freshman on this Blue Dragon team, this would be and I knew I was going to get some playing time today. Even if I didn't, what plays I would be out there, I was going to go all out because I want to impress the coaches for next year. So you've got some freshmen who are, trying to, make an impression for spring football and then into next year. You've got some sophomores who may have not decided where they're going to go yet. They need, a good showing today. So there's, even though it's meaningless in terms of the scoreboard, in terms of the standings, you still got a lot to play for. And it all boils down to what you said. You've got to compete. And if you compete, and coaches will see that, good things are going to happen down the road in terms of your recruitment moving on, in terms of your chance to getting to play next year for the Blue Dragons. If you're competing now in the game but doesn't have any ramifications, that's the kind of player I want on my team.
Absolutely, and always the best way any endeavor is to get better, and constantly at halftime of Blue Dragon football. We'll take a 1-minute break and come back and talk about Salt City Bowl and maybe some volleyball after 1 minute. Steve Carpenter, Sports Information Director at the center of the garden spot of the universe, also known as Hutchinson Community College. What are your thoughts about the upcoming Salt City Bowl scheduled for December 2nd? That's 3 weeks from today.
It sure is. It'll be here before we know it. We've had this since 2009, and the event continues to get better every year. It'll be very good to have the Blue Dragons back in it after an unfortunate 2-year hiatus. But it promises to be a pretty good matchup. If everything goes right, I really can't say anything in terms of matchups, but quite likely a Western States team will be the opponent for the Blue Dragons.
Is there an agreement for the Salt City Bowl that needs to be honored?
There is an agreement with the Salt City Bowl. If all the Western States teams who are eligible for the Salt City Bowl, if they turn that bid down, then the Dragons committee can look elsewhere for another opponent. But Eastern Arizona are probably the two most likely candidates to come to Hutchinson the first week of December.
So that's a predetermined agreement that the Salt City Bowl would be offered to one of those teams out in the West, and then it's up to them whether they want to accept the invitation or not.
Exactly. I think it's a good agreement for the Salt City Bowl to have that. I know that the Bowl Committee a few years ago were kind of taking beatings for some of the matchups they had for the Blue Dragons, but it was also 7th and 8th type choices that a lot of people turn the Bowl Committee down before. It happens. But this was kind of a preemptive strike by the Bowl Committee to make sure a quality matchup would happen. And if it doesn't happen, I'm sure that the Bowl Committee will find a very suitable opponent to come to Hutchinson the first week of December.
Well, mark your calendar to tune in for the Salt City Bowl on December 2nd. But we have a lot of action between now and December 2nd. What do we have going on this week at the Sports Arena?
Well, today, if people are wondering what's going on at the arena today, it's not Blue Dragon basketball, it's the KCAC volleyball tournament. They're trying to determine their representative for the NEI Volleyball National Championships. But starting next Thursday, and the Blue Dragons will be a part of it for the first of a 3-year run. The city of Hutchinson hosts the NJCA Division I National Volleyball Tournament. I'm very excited about it. Plus, to have our own Blue Dragons into the in the field of 16 is going to be awesome. They play Iowa Western at 11 o'clock on Thursday. There'll be 2 matches going simultaneously on Thursday and Friday, and then single matches on Saturday. Those are the place matches. Hutchinson's number 15 seed. Iowa Western's the number 2 seed. But back in September in the Sports Arena, Hutchinson pushed 5 very close sets. Should be a great match. It's going to be a great tournament.
16 best junior college volleyball teams in the country right there in Hutchinson at that newly remodeled Sports Arena. What a great opportunity to come watch some outstanding competition. Who's the number 1 seed in the tournament?
Miami-Dade is the number 1 seed. They're 30-0. They're very, very athletic, very, very tall, and very, very good. I encourage you, if you're even a novice volleyball fan, come and check this tournament out. There's going to be some dynamite volleyball action. A lot of Division I caliber players are playing in this tournament. You'll see a lot of international players who are just very good, and you're liable to see some future Olympians for Brazil or Puerto Rico or whoever. You might see some future Olympians in the tournament this year.
What a great opportunity, and congratulations to Coach Patrick Hall and the entire Blue Dragon volleyball team. That's an amazing accomplishment to qualify for a national tournament.
It sure did. Their 10th time since 2004, and this is Coach Hall's 5th time in 6 seasons to qualify. So it's this team has come together. A great match in the Region 6 finals at Seward County last week, beating the Saints in 3 sets, but 3 2-point sets, 3 deuce sets, 30-28 in the final set. Great win, and I really look forward to seeing them. I hope the nerves don't take over too much. They're playing on their home floor, but they can probably get some tips from all the sophomore basketball guys because they know exactly what's going to happen. You're playing a national tournament on your home floor, so maybe there's a little talking going on between the two teams.
That's huge. And speaking of basketball, where are the Blue Dragons tonight?
Well, after this game, I and Athletic Director Josh Gooch are going to be heading down to Liberal as we open up conference play against Seward County. It's the women are ranked number 12, Seward County number 8. always the two of the top teams in the Jayhawk West, and of course the defending national champion Blue Dragons taking on a Seward County men's team with the new coaching staff. Those games are at 6 and 8. Glenn and Darren is going to be down there about 5:50. Both games will be on 102.9 as well as the Blue Dragon Sports Network on BlueDragonSports.com.
Tune in. It's conference action underway for basketball. Steve Carpenter, thank you very much for everything you do, and thank you for joining us at halftime today.
You bet, Coach Knack.
Let's come back in 30 seconds for the second half kickoff.
Well, we are about ready to get the second half underway, and the Blue Dragons with, I don't want to say an improbable 13-0 lead, because Hutchinson had by far the better field position of these two teams in the first half. But it was just a half that had an unbelievable number of penalties, and they weren't limited to one team. Hutchinson with 11 for 136 yards, Dodge with 8 for 120. And I am quite sure that it is the first half of football I have ever broadcast, and I've been doing this almost a half century. I'm sure it's the first broadcast where the teams, both of them, had more yards in penalties than they did in offensive yards. For Hutchinson, 102 and 136. For Dodge City, 67 and 120. It can only, one would think, get better as these teams come out for the start of the second half. Hutchinson leading 13-0. And Hutchinson will get the football. High spinning kick, Wynn grabs it. Fielded on a run at the 25-yard line, brought out quickly to the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40. It's Edwards, and Edwards run out of bounds, but not before he brings it all the way downfield to the Dodge City 33-yard line.
Can't ask for a better start to the second half than that kick return.
And no flags.
Nope, there's one in the end.
Nope.
Oh, we do have a penalty.
We do have one right at the end.
Yep.
Well, one of these teams is going to add to their already impressive penalty yard total. One would think some sort of a block in the back, but we'll let the officials sort it out.
Edwards caught that ball at full speed and just kept going.
Number 33, kicking team.
Penalty is on Dodge City. 15 yards tacked onto the end of the play, and the Blue Dragons, with as good a start to the second half as they could ever hope for, have it all of a sudden at the Dodge City 18-yard line, leading 13-0. Dodge City having lost 5 of its last 6 games. If Hutchinson could punch this into the end zone, Coach Knack, Dodge City might not be able to get their attitudes right to come back.
Certainly could break their spirit. Returned that blocked field goal for a touchdown to end the second quarter.
Dragons give it off to Emmons, and Emmons goes straight ahead for some positive yards near the 15-yard line.
So the Blue Dragons return a blocked field goal, 85 yards, for a touchdown to end the first half, and then they come out and return the opening kick all the way down to the 32-yard line, and then tack on another 15 on the face mask penalty.
So it is 2nd down and 6 for Hutchinson at the 15-yard line of Dodge City. Just underway in the third quarter. Hutchinson 13, Dodge City nothing. Snap is a good one. And again, it's Emmons looking for somewhere to run, puts his head down, and wow, gets all the way down to the 10-yard line. I didn't see a hole, but he somehow created enough space to get within a yard of a first down.
B.J. Emmons was very patient on that run. He went to the right side. There were all kinds of bodies and traffic in front of him, so he just hesitated, took his time, found a little bit of an opening to squeeze through. You know, O.J. Simpson used to run that way when he was with Buffalo and when he was back at USC. Those were before all the troubles that O.J. Simpson experienced in his life.
3rd down and short for the Blue Dragons. Opening drive of the second half, and Hutchinson in great position. Emmons with a hole. Emmons breaks a tackle at the 5-yard line and battling. They can't get him down. Fumbles the football down on
just at the very end after he gave second, third effort. And now there's one of those piles on the football where everybody's wrestling for the ball.
Dodge City recovers.
They're still fighting over it, but the officials have already signaled it's Dodge City's ball.
Fumble recovered by Dodge City at the 1-yard line.
Dakota Anderson came out of the pile with the football for Dodge City. Tough break.
Hard to be critical of Emmons in that case because he was just battling. Had he gone down back at the 5, in retrospect, it would have been a better choice.
Dodge City will take over with their heels in their own end zone. That ball is probably only a foot away from their own goal line. So the Blue Dragon defense has a chance here to make something happen.
Hutchinson leads it 13-0, just underway in the third quarter. Blue Dragons fumbling the ball at the 1. Caden Walters from the shotgun in the end zone. Gives straight ahead. Decent gain on first down of a yard or two, and I say decent one. When you don't have any real estate to work with, anything is appreciated. It out to about the 3.
Dodge City has to be careful not to commit a holding penalty in their own end zone. If Caden Walters falls back to pass, that can be a potential landmine for the Dodge City Conquistadors.
Walters will be operating from the shotgun, standing in the end zone. Second down, 8. Gets a snap, and there's a hole. And Dodge City slips through it and out quickly to the 14, 15-yard line. One of the bigger positive carries of the day for Dodge City goes Tyler Miner.
Dodge City now has some breathing room all the way out to the 15-yard line. They can open up their entire offensive arsenal now.
Dodge City had under 100 yards of total offense in the first half. And they're sticking with the run, and there's not much there. Let's call it no gain on the first down carry. Once again by Miner.
That Blue Dragon defense really performed as well against Caden Walters as anybody all season long, and you'd probably have to say better. They shut out the Conquistadors and held Walters to just 5 of 16 passing with 1 interception in the first half.
Hutchinson defense has been Dragons must play without nearly as Walters pitching left, and the ball pops loose.
It appeared to me that the turf caused. Yeah, I thought the turf caused the fumble.
Miner on the carry for Dodge.
It was Miner again on taking the pitch. Got it yards, but not much, and ball did come loose, but I think it was late.
3rd and long again for Dodge City. We've seen so many 3rd and long situations in this football game.
Yeah, these offenses, neither one has been very productive.
Hutchinson was 1 of 7 on 3rd down conversion attempts. Dodge City 0 out of 7 on 3rd down attempts in the first half.
You know, Hutch is hoping to make that 0 out of 8 here early in the third quarter. Walters all by himself. Throws it out to the 20-yard line. That is short of the first down. Complete, but not for enough yardage. And Dodge City will have to punt the football.
Good coverage by Devon Henderson.
So the Blue Dragon defense is doing the job again, forcing the Dodge City punt. And it is Marcus Edwards. 2 threes on this Hutchinson team. Easy to get them confused. Marcus Edwards is a tremendous return man. Jerry Jacobs is a terrific defender.
Yeah, it has been confusing because many times the players with the same numbers have the same body build.
Punt is a little wobbly one off the side of the kicker's foot, and it'll roll out of bounds just barely across the midfield stripe. So Hutchinson, again, I'm not sure I've ever seen a game in which Hutchinson has consistently had such good field position. will again have wonderful field position. At their own 47-yard line, the Blue Dragons will start this next series.
The defenses have dominated this football game on both sides. The Blue Dragon defense shutting out the Dodge City offense.
Eric Forrest continues at quarterback for the Blue Dragons. Rolling to his right, throws it out of the reach of his intended receiver, Deshaun Waller. Incomplete pass, it'll be second down.
Had he caught it, Waller probably would have only picked up a couple of yards. Dodge City had it defended pretty well.
Neither Cam Jones, who started most of the games throughout the year, nor Eric Forrest has had a whole lot of a vertical passing game in terms of being able to throw it downfield. Dragons trying to make it easy for the quarterbacks with relative gain. So Deshaun Waller not able to pick up any yardage. It'll be third down and 10.
Good tackle by James Spann for the Conquistadors. Held Waller to no gain. Third and 10 for the Blue Dragons.
Time for one of these teams to make a statement with a big offensive play. Can it be the Dragons? They show us 3 wideouts to the right side. They roll the quarterback that way, and Forrest is dropped. Didn't see the pressure coming from the backside. He's dumped back at the 37-yard line, so the Dragons on that series of downs lose 10 yards.
Braxton Haley again.
Good play.
With another sack. That's right.
He's playing on both sides and playing well for the most part on both sides.
He is definitely contributing and making good things happen for Dodge City.
Now Donovan Gagan will punt for the Blue Dragons. Stands back at his 22. Line of scrimmage is the 37. Gets an okay snap. Just barely gets off. Line drive kick. Returnable, but now the Dragons are downfield and Dodge will let it roll, and that's going to be very effective down to about the 12-yard line. Wonderful punt by Gagan.
A.J. Morton was indecisive on whether to field the ball or not. He backed off, decided to let it bounce, and then thought, well, maybe I can catch it on the bounce, then decided not to. But my gosh, there's so much hidden yardage in a football game when teams do not field the punt.
That's a 51-yard punt, no return down to the 12. That's about as good as a coach would ever ask of a punter.
We call that hidden yardage because it doesn't really show up the fact that the ball probably landed. It would have been maybe a 35-yard punt, but then it bounced 16 yards.
But again, Dodge City starts at the 12. Hutchinson starting near midfield. Can Dodge City make a play to get out of it? They'll try the run. That hasn't worked most of the year, and it won't work here. The Dragons with 3 or 4 defenders around A.J. Walker, and Walker not able to get much. Couple of yards. 7 minutes gone in the third quarter. Hutchinson leading Dodge City 13-0. Final game of the regular season for both teams, although Hutchinson will play again 3 weeks from today in the Salt City Bowl. Second down at the 14 for Dodge City. Caden Walters, who's having an off day, hands off, and that's a pretty good job of breaking a tackle in the backfield and able to get out to the 18-yard line. Was Walker on that carry. It's still, though, third down and 4, and a great opportunity for the Hutchinson defense to get Dodge City off the field. At least the Dodge City offense. I think both coaches must have talked a little bit about penalties. We've only had 1 here in the first 7 minutes of the third quarter. Teams had a game's worth in the first half. Both of them. Walters throws, complete. Helmet comes off. The pass is complete for a gain of a couple of yards. Well short of a first down. Dodge City will have to punt.
Adrian Cross came up on the coverage, and that was a very, very secure tackle. He knocked the helmet off of the Dodge City receiver Tyrese Ritchie.
Lost in all of the penalties and the inabilities of the offenses to move the football is a pretty solid defensive performance by the Hutchinson, particularly the secondary.
This is a great defensive performance by any standards. I mean, Dodge City is a 4-6 college football team.
Kick is off, might be returnable. Line drive, taking it to 45-yard line and going nowhere for the Blue Dragon, Marcus Edwards. He is swallowed up at the Hutchinson 43. But again, good field position for the Dragons.
Dodge City with a solid football team and a quarterback who leads the conference in passing yards and touchdown passes. So this is a pretty remarkable performance being turned in by the Blue Dragon defense.
Hutchinson has it at its own 43-yard line, still leading 13-0. Eric Forrest will go under center this time. Dragons with single wideouts to each side. And they give it off to Desmond Jackson, and Jackson battling for yards, gets a batch of them on that first down carry as he picks up 7 or 8 yards to, let's call it 8 yards to the 49 of Dodge City.
Nothing fancy about the play, just straight ahead, hard-nosed, running up the middle football.
I think you and I both felt in the first half the Blue Dragons got away from the running game a little bit more than they perhaps should have. But they still lead 13-0, and a chance to add to that here. Again, the give to Jackson, puts his head down, plows forward to the 45. That's a gain of 4 and a first down. And you get the running game going, not only does it help your field position, but it also takes time off that clock, and the clock with Hutchinson up 13-0 is an ally. 5 minutes to go, third quarter.
The Blue Dragons have a good rushing attack, and quite frankly, Dodge City defensively has struggled against the run this season.
Hutchinson at the Dodge 45-yard line. Forrest under center, has been during this whole set of downs. Hands off. Jackson takes it to the outside, gets to the edge, stiff arms, and is able to get down to the 40-yard line, maybe as much as the 38-yard line before being shoved out of bounds. Desmond Jackson gained 7.
Malik Wilson was the recipient of that stiff arm, but he stayed with it to his credit. He continued to battle and ultimately dragged him down.
So Hutchinson with a 2nd down and 3. Blue Dragons consuming time, leading 13-0. 2 wideouts to the wide side of the field at the left as the ball is on the right hash mark. Ball thrown left, complete. Close to a first down, and I think with a first down is Jalik Jagway for the Blue Dragons as he hauled it in.
He just lost his footing, or he could have picked up at least another 5 or 6 yards.
And they're going to say it's enough for a first down. So the Blue Dragons, with their 2nd first down of this drive, have it at the 35-yard line of Dodge City.
And as you pointed out, Rusty, that was a safe pass. Those are the type passes the Blue Dragons have had success with.
High snap, but they hand it off, and Blue Dragons continue to run with effectiveness. Down to the 27-yard line goes Otis Williams.
Tackle made by number 40, Darius Miller. 9.
That's 9 yards on the first down carry. We didn't call very many 2nd down and shorts for either team in the first half. The Blue Dragons starting to get some here on this drive.
Both teams in the first half went backwards on many first down plays.
Trips left for Hutchinson. And the ball given off to Jackson. Jackson has the first down and more as he is close to the 20-yard line. Dragons move the chains again. 3rd first down in this drive. Hutchinson on the opening drive of the second half after a remarkable kick return got the ball down to the 1-yard line before fumbling it away. Neither team has scored since halftime.
The Blue Dragons appear to have found their stride in this third quarter.
And Dragons keep it on the ground and will get a touchdown. Right up the middle goes Otis Williams from 13 yards away, and the Blue Dragons have taken a 19-0 lead.
What an impressive play. I don't think anyone touched Otis.
I don't think so either. And I have a feeling that the Dodge City attitudes are on the downside right now. And it's going to be Chewy Parga to kick the extra point, as Luke Niemeyer was injured on the final extra point of the first half. And Parga, with a strong leg, almost knocks it out into the parking lot.
He didn't have any trouble with it.
It is 20-0 Hutchinson, 2:57 to go in the third quarter. More football after this. Well, the Blue Dragons with things pretty much in hand at this point in time. 2:57 left in the third, and Coach Knack, 20-0, looks pretty good.
The Blue Dragons defense certainly came to play today, and now in this third quarter, the offense looked very impressive. They're running the ball effectively now.
And you wonder whether Dodge City can get emotionally up enough to come back in this game. We haven't seen anything yet that would indicate that. Dodge had a couple of drives that were snuffed out by mistakes. Biggest one being an interception by Jerry Jacobs that got the Dragons out of a hole when Dodge City looked like they were about to score. Kickoff is down to the 3-yard line, brought out quickly to the 10, to the 15, and not much farther. 20-yard line, maybe the 21. And it is there that Dodge City will start. And I'm going to tell you that Rodney Murphy has taken some hits. That was a heck of a pop that he took right there.
But he popped up, and he appears to be fine.
Obviously a tough kid. Dodge City will start. Yeah, maybe closer to the 22 than the 21. Just less than 3 minutes remaining in the third quarter. I want to remind everybody to stay with us on Country 102.9, KWBW. Country 102.9. Tonight we'll have Blue Dragon basketball for you.
Always a pleasure to listen to Glenn Grunwald and Darren Dunn.
They will be in Seward. Plenty of time. Ball delivered way too high. I have to think that Caden Walters is not having a good throwing afternoon, because he has had some opportunities. Dragons have covered most of the defenders pretty well, and maybe he's just throwing that ball away, but he has not really been on target.
The Dragons have corralled Caden Walters better than anyone else this season.
Yeah, he came in completing over 50% of his passes, and not even close to that in this one. Throwing on almost every play, and this one he completes out to the 34-yard line and a first down. That toss was right on target to Braxton Haley, and we have called him a bunch.
Braxton Haley is the player of the game for the Dodge City Conquistadors so far, getting it done on offense and defense.
He's trying to get the crowd a little bit excited. First down at the 35. Back to the run and breaking to the outside and picking up 6 or 7 yards on first down. Pretty good opportunity there for Dodge City. And again, it's Rodney Murphy. I kind of like him. He's a little hot in that first half. Wasn't very easy to talk to. But since then, he's been out there. He's taken some pops. He gets up, hands the ball to the official, and just plays the game.
He has a fiery personality.
He does. He'll get another chance, and this time he is grabbed behind the line of scrimmage. First one in there to get a piece of him was Devontae Wyatt, And a Dodge player is shaken up on the play. And while they tend to the injured Conquistador, let's see, he's going to get to his feet and come gimping off. Not putting any weight at all on the right ankle. That doesn't look good at all.
Not very often do you see a player just hop on one foot all the way from midfield to the bench.
And
he's a big guy.
I don't think he's going to be back in there.
Let's see who that is.
It is 3rd down and 3.
That's Jared Sylvester, the offensive lineman.
Dodge City at the 42-yard line. Their half of the field. 20-0. Clock moving. 90 seconds to play, 3rd quarter. Walters drops back. Pressure comes. Ball thrown. Open receiver at the midfield stripe. Hauled in and taken down to the 44-yard line. Braxton Haley again. Braxton Haley continues to play hard.
Braxton Haley, the all-around football player.
And Dodge City with one of the best drives on its own, unaided by Hutchins and penalties that we've seen. Goes back to the run, and the ball pops loose, but I think it was caused by the turf. And it will be a gain for Rodney Murphy of a couple of yards on that 1st down effort.
Just clock.
Second down and 8. Hutchinson 20, Dodge City nothing. Blue Dragons trying to finish at 7-4 going into their bowl game. A Dodge City loss would leave them 4-7. Walters rolls right, throws it as hard as he can. There's a receiver out there. Nobody anywhere near him at the 10-yard line down to the 5. I don't know how he got that wide open, but I mean wide open on the right side. Dodge City comes up with the play of the game for the Conquistadors. I'm looking at, I think that's 84 Eugene Minter that pulled it in. Eugene Minter.
Was it number 12?
I think it was 84. I think it was the 8 Eugene Minter that pulled it in over there. 1st and goal, Dodge City. High snap, Walters hands off. Murphy pounding ahead. Hutchinson greets him with a pile at about the 1-yard line. It is not a touchdown, but it's pretty doggone.
Blue Dragons just lost track of the receiver, and the only reason it wasn't a touchdown is because Caden Walters saw how open his receiver was, and he just floated the ball high in the air out to him to make sure that he could catch it. Therefore, Jerry Jacobs was able to come over and make the tackle.
There's a timeout taken on the field because that's the end of the 3rd quarter. Through 3 from Western Kansas, Hutchinson leading 20-0, but Dodge City just a yard away as we open the 4th quarter in 1 minute. We start the 4th quarter, Coach Knack. Dodge about as close as you can get without getting it into the end zone. It was 2nd and goal from the 1.
If the Blue Dragons can mount a goal line stand here, they would preserve this shutout, at least for the time being. The last time the Blue Dragons shut out a conference opponent was against Independence a couple of years ago when the Blue Dragons won 75-0.
Caden Walters stays in the shotgun, gets a high snap, hands it off, and no signal yet. That was, again, Murphy on the carry, and he is short. It'll be 3rd and goal. Hutchinson had a stop like this in Independence late a couple of Saturday nights ago. Held inside the 5.
It's as close to the goal line as it can be without being in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about like an inch. Here's where you just have to gamble. Make a guess on where the play is going to go.
Storm the castle.
Dodge City trying to make something positive out of this afternoon. There's a ball might have popped loose. The back got it back, but he didn't get into the end zone. It is 4th down. That was again on the carry, Rodney Murphy. That ball almost hit the ground.
I've never understood why a team would go from the shotgun formation when they're on the 1-inch line. Because the defense is going to gamble and blitz everyone.
Yep, well, it is 4th down. And that is a last chance effort for Dodge City. If they're going to be a part of this football game, they got to figure a way to get it in. They stay in the shotgun. And the quarterback keeps it, and he is grabbed and hauled down. Walters doesn't get it. The Blue Dragons hold. Oh, what a job holding on 3 downs inside the 1.
Jeff Mario Brown got into the backfield, deep into the backfield, and grabbed Caden Walters' leg. He came from his defensive end position. Jeff Mario Brown, he's a good one. That young man, keep an eye on him because he's going to play Division I football somewhere.
Blue Dragons, by the way, Coach Knack in that 3rd quarter, no penalty yards.
Well, that 3rd quarter
was a pretty good quarter of football.
Pretty good.
Both teams playing much better in the second half. Each team has given up the ball on a golden opportunity to score. Hutchinson fumbling it away at the 1. Dodge City not being able to get it into the end zone on 2nd and goal from the 1. High snap, miraculously pulled down, and for the Blue Dragons, running hard, taking it to the right side, and out close to the 20-yard line goes Lee on the carry. First time we've heard from Andrew Lee for a while. Probably won't be the last. That was a nice carry for a 1st down.
All started with a very athletic play by Eric Forrest just to snag the
Forrest he's going to be worn out just from jumping up to field high snaps. I've never seen a quarterback have to do that so many times. He goes under center this time. And hands it off. And the Blue Dragons gets a pretty good yardage out to the 24.
Now there's a flag way back at the 6-yard line, thrown by the White Hat. Through 3 quarters, statistically, this game is about a dead heat. Both teams with about 170 yards of total offense, but the Dragons lead it 20-0.
And both teams with about 135 yards of penalties.
That's right.
136 and 135. Penalties on Hutch. Too many people moving at the same time in the backfield. So it is a 5-yard walk-off. And Hutchinson will have it back at the 15-yard line. 12:50 to play in the regular season for each of these 2 teams.
Eric Forrest is now 11 of 16 on passing attempts. Likely to pass it here. Nope, he runs it.
And the Dragons give it to Jackson, and Jackson running hard to the right side. Gets back the lost yards on the penalty and a couple 3 besides. It'll be 2nd down and manageable. Clock stopped, though, because he went out of bounds.
But it'll start again as soon as they set the ball. With a 20-point lead in the 4th quarter on the road, a team certainly would like to run the football and keep the chains moving, keep the clock running.
Dragons huddled up. In no hurry. They break the huddle with about 10 on the play clock. Eric Forrest under center. Gets his team set. Takes the snap. Play action. Decides to run with it. and get hauled down. That's going to be a face mask penalty on Dodge City. Obvious call.
Have you ever seen so many flags fly on?
And I'm worried that he might be he might be hurt because he took a heck of a jolt.
Yeah, it's a dangerous thing that's why that's a penalty. It can be very dangerous when a person gets tackled by their face mask, twists their neck around.
And he's a little shaken up, takes his helmet off.
While we have a quick break in the action, let's throw out our appreciation to our sideline sponsors.
Yeah, by all means, let's do that. Those folks have been with us throughout the year. We're talking about Oliver's Beef and Brew, Jackson Meat, Ty Cahoon Kinesiology. Great folks, great friends of not only the Hutchinson football program, but of the college in general. And just 3 businesses that the city of Hutchinson can be proud of.
Absolutely. Please patronize those sponsors because they do a great job with customer service.
Blue Dragons have it now out at the 35-yard line. Forrest is able to continue. Hands off, and the Dragons are caught in the backfield. Andrew Lee nowhere to go. Be a loss on the play, but again the clock will continue to move. Dragons with a 20-0 lead, and the clock is a big ally when you're in this circumstance.
David Monroe in the backfield making the tackle. 6'3", 230-pounder. Once he grabs you, kind of hard to get away.
Second down, 14 for Hutch. Dragons trying to pick up win number 7. Forrest back to throw. Throws it underneath to his fullback. And a fullback able to get out to the 34-yard line. A couple of yards short of a first down. That was Darian Lewis that pulled that in, young man from Lawrence. Big, strong kid. Gives Hutchinson a third down and still about 11. Hutchinson not going to take any big chances.
And they're not in a hurry to run the play either. They're using the entire play clock at this point of the game.
Forrest under center where it's a lot safer and a lot less adventurous. Hands it off. Dragons go straight ahead. Desmond Jackson. Well short of a first down. Hutchinson will have to punt the football away. But by the time the Dragons punt, we'll be inside 10 minutes to play in the football game.
And the good news is they ran about 4 minutes off the clock. Remember, they took over possession on their own 9-yard line. They moved it out beyond the 35, so they gave their offense a little bit of room to work with. They'll give the defense a lot of field to work with.
And after and gets off a pretty good one, it lands point down, takes a Hutchinson bounce, albeit a soft one, and rolls dead at the 33-yard line. 9:42 to go. Dodge City with the football, but in need of 3 touchdowns somehow if they're to get the lead back.
On the internet last night, I saw a high school football team in Minnesota scored 3 times in the last 59 seconds of the game to come back and pull off a miracle victory.
There are lots of things that are possible, but not very probable.
Not likely. Not the way this Blue Dragon defense is played. In that game, the team scored a long touchdown pass with 59 seconds to play, recovered the onside kick, scored on first down on a long touchdown pass, recovered another onside kick, drove down the field, and scored to end the game.
Caden Walters, who hasn't had, by his standards, a good afternoon, loads it up, throws it long, got a receiver downfield, can't quite get to it. Again, a step on the Hutchinson defender, Jerry Hanks. Had he been able to catch up with that football, might have gone to the house.
Jerry Hanks, a Kansas kid all the way from the other corner of the state, Leavenworth, Kansas. He had an opportunity there to score a 67-yard touchdown. Had he been able to pull that ball in, he just couldn't quite catch up to it.
All right, it is a second down and 10. Dodge City with a little bit of a sense of urgency, knowing it has to score a bunch to make any difference in this game. It's hard to score a bunch if you don't score quickly. Walters again drops back, steps up, delivers it for a catch of just a couple of yards. Blue Dragons totally not fooled by the play at all. It'll be 3rd down and 8.
Good coverage all the way around in that defensive secondary. Mike Witherspoon came up to make the tackle immediately upon the catch for a short gain.
It was Caleb Mills that tracked down the pass. Clock moving. Now 9 minutes to play. 3 wideouts left, a couple to the right. Walters all by himself in the backfield. Drops back. Pressure comes. Flag thrown as the ball is thrown over the middle, incomplete. Braxton Haley couldn't haul it in.
Likely a holding penalty against Dodge City.
And it will be a hold. And the Dragons will turn it down because it will be 4th down and about 7.
Dodge City is thinking about going for it.
Go for it here. What the heck? You don't have a good season going. You're on the bottom of the league race. You're out of this game unless you score 3 times.
Now that the Blue Dragons know the Conquistadors are going for it on 4th down.
They wish they'd have taken it.
That's right.
4th down and 7. Twin wideouts to each side. Dragons coming. Ball delivered over the middle of the field. Caught, and it's loose is Braxton Haley, and the Dragons are going to catch him from behind, but not before Haley tracks the pass down and takes it all the way to the 25-yard line of the Dragons. That was a beautifully thrown ball by Caden Walters, and Braxton Haley is certainly the player of the game from a Dodge City standpoint.
The sophomore out of Athens, Georgia. Right now, the Blue Dragons are very pleased that this is the last time they'll ever have to face Braxton Haley, because he is playing in his last junior college football game today.
He has played offensively and defensively. And now Hutchinson will spend a timeout. The timeout comes with 8:20 to go. Hutchinson 20, Dodge City nothing, but Dodge City threatening when we return.
Coach Ryan Rhodes for the Hutchinson Blue Dragons attempting to pick up his 80th victory today. Right now he's 79-44.
And if he does, he will have done it more quickly than either of his predecessors that reached that mark.
That's right. When I say 80th victory, that is at Hutchinson Community College.
Right.
He had some victories as a head coach prior to coming to Hutchinson.
First down at the Hutchinson 25-yard line. Walters throwing on every down, loads it up, now rolls to his right, tosses it over the middle, open receiver at the 10-yard line, breaking to the outside, still on his feet, smacked down at about the 2-yard line with the ball securely in his possession is Jerry Hanks, the young man from Leavenworth. And Dodge is first and goal, and a Blue Dragon is shaken up.
Caden Walters looks like an entirely different quarterback right now than he did earlier in the game.
Trying to figure out who the Blue Dragon is, but he is hopping off the field. Coach Knack will put the binoculars on him, but he is not putting much weight on that left foot.
The bad news is that's Adrian Cross. He's an excellent cover corner for the Blue Dragons.
Dodge City with a first and goal. The Dragons have turned them away once in this situation. Can they possibly do it again? Clock moving, 8 minutes to go. Hutchinson 20-0. But Dodge City trying to remain a part of things. Walters from the shotgun. Keeps the football. and takes it into the end zone for a Dodge City touchdown. Caden Walters just kept it himself, and Walters' touchdown makes this contest 20-6 with a Dodge City extra point up and coming.
That drive, we were able to witness the Caden Walters that every other opponent has seen all year long. That's the kind of play he's been making all season.
Now, Devontae Guillory on for the extra point. These have not been automatic for Devontae. He is 20 of 28, so he's missed 8 of them on the season. Snap is okay. Kick's blocked. And you can return it for 2. That's still loose. Picked up by a Blue Dragon who's running with it. Now passes the end of the end zone. And the Dragons are still alive. And out to the 10. To the 15, to the 20, to the 25, 30 to the... I mean, what an improbable play. It's going to be a Dragon run back for 2. Is that Story Jackson?
I think they better find some oxygen for Story Jackson because
he just took it to...
That is a...
That had about, what, 3...
We have a flag.
Oh, there's a flag over there.
Let's see.
That had about 3 lateral... Or 3 laterals. Jackson got it. And Dodge City was unenthused about tracking him down.
Yeah, I think Story Jackson needs some of his teammates to help him off the field. He is out of gas right now. He ran all the way back to the end of the other end zone before he picked up some blockers.
And the flag was on the far side of the field. Jackson was coming down the left side. The flag was way over on the right side.
I have never seen an extra point like that one. Ever.
This game has had a lot of evers.
To try to keep it alive, to see if they get... I've never seen that happen on a blocked extra point before.
The officials are conferring that they dropped the flag. What is it that you called?
During the return, personal foul, number 31 on the receiving team. The foul rule, the try is no good, and the foul is offset. Free kick from the 35.
Well, that's kind of sad after you see a historic play like that you may never see again. No matter how much football you watch, it's all forgot.
Dragons had gone the whole second half without a penalty and then pick up a personal foul way away from everything. And the good news, it doesn't nullify a touchdown. It nullifies what would have been a 2-point return of a missed extra point for Dodge City.
Although those 2 points would have been huge because Dodge City trails 20-6, and
it's a 2-score game.
That's right. It was. I guess it still would have been a 2-score game, but Dodge City would have had to convert 2 2-point conversion attempts.
Well, the Blue Dragons better be ready.
And Story Jackson may not be ready. It's like he just ran a
gas.
And he is one of the most fit human beings you'll ever meet. But he was definitely tired after that 108-yard?
Well, it started in the very back of the end zone after the last lateral.
And he started in the far corner of the end zone and came diagonally.
Now, to be honest, the last 15 yards he could have walked in because there wasn't a single conquistador with enough interest to track him down.
I have never seen a play like that.
It's all just a missed extra point. 3rd block kick of the game by these 2 teams combined, and they kick it deep. And it is fumbled into the end zone and going to be brought back out. Mistake. And dancing around back trying to make something out of it is Marcus Edwards. Now he breaks it to the outside, and he is momentarily loose. Gets all the way out to the 28-yard line. That's a remarkable return by Marcus Edwards. He fumbled it into the end zone. I'm not sure whether the officials would have ruled that the momentum of the football carried it into the end zone or not. He decided not to take a chance, and now a flag flies. Another flag.
He never caught the kick clean, so I think he could have taken a touchback.
This has to be on Dodge City because there isn't a Blue Dragon. There isn't a Blue Dragon in the same county where that flag was dropped. Dodge City is
sometimes
shows kind of a lack of discipline at times.
These are the type of things sometimes that happen on the last football game of the season.
Well, it is 20-6, and the officials are conferring.
It's not Hutchinson's last game of the season, but it is the last game of the season for Dodge City. Obviously, Hutchinson will play in the Salt City Bowl on December 2nd at Gowan Stadium.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 33, on the kicking team.
All right, penalty is on Dodge City. It's on Adam Al-Sultani.
Oh, out of, he's a Kansas, yeah.
And the Blue Dragons will get 15 yards walked off in their favor. The Dragons have played with a fair amount of discipline here in the second half in terms of limiting the penalties, although one nullified a 2-point extra point return, but Dodge City has continued to amass penalties. Dragons go back to B.J. Emmons, and he spins to get a couple of yards. Will stay in bound, keep the clock running, or at the very least make Dodge City use up their timeouts. Hutchinson leading at 20-6.
B.J. Emmons continues to give effort. He just never gives up on a play.
Blue Dragon basketball tonight from Liberal. Glenn and Darren Dunn, Mike side, as the Blue Dragons tangle with Seward.
Tough place to play. That'll be a good one to tune into tonight.
Forrest hands off. Emmons greeted right at the line of scrimmage. Smack down. No gain.
Lakia Henry was running full speed, and that was a jarring tackle.
Dragons would love to pick up a first down, but I don't think they love it enough to take a chance on throwing it to pick it up. They're just interested in working on that clock. Now, Dodge City does have the kind of offense that can score quickly.
That's right, and if the Blue Dragons do decide to throw the ball, you can bank on it being a safe pass.
Eric Forrest stays under center.
Oh, he was planning to throw it. We'll never know exactly who he wanted to throw it to.
Hutchinson takes a timeout. We will too. 6:08 remains. It is 20-6 Hutchinson. We're back right after you hear from these good folks. Here's a score that will surprise you. How many in a row had Iowa Central lost? 22, 23 games?
That's right.
Well, this afternoon they beat Butler 7-0.
Oh my goodness. You just do not ever know what will happen in sports.
My goodness.
I would not have ever seen that coming because Butler has had a remarkably good season.
Well, they'd won 5 in a row. All right, here the Dragons go. It is 3rd down and 7. Hutchinson with a 14-point lead. Blitz coming. Forrest back to throw. Sets it up. Delivers it. It is off the fingertips of his fullback, Darian Lewis. And the Dragons waste an opportunity to take some time off the clock.
Absolutely. I'm surprised, but they did feel like it was a pretty safe pass that they probably had a lot of confidence that would be completed.
But if they run it, the clock would still be running. And by the time they punted the football away, another 45 seconds probably or close to it would have elapsed.
That's right. And right now the clock is the ally of the Blue Dragons.
Donovan Gagan will punt it in Dodge City's offsides.
Well, there was a little bit of movement.
Might have been movement.
We'll see which way they call it. Colby Turner moved a little bit on the offensive line.
With contact, number 7.
They called it offside.
Yeah, I think Colby Turner just reacted to the Dodge City player coming across.
Well, now the Dragons have a 4th down and 2. They're still going to punt it away. Donovan Gagan has had a pretty good afternoon, gets a nice snap. Dylan Chesterman does a great job there, and what a great punt. It rolls down to the 10-yard line, now takes a Hutchinson bounce, and will roll 5 and to the 4. Donovan Gagan with another marvelous punt.
Outstanding punt. Did I mention earlier how important it is to field a punt in the air, even if you fair catch it?
Yep. So Dodge City still with a chance, but with bad field position, and Hutchinson has done a good job all afternoon of playing the field position game. Dodge, I'd like to know what City's average possession has started from compared to that of Hutchinson. Average start.
Hutchinson definitely enjoyed better field position throughout this entire game.
Dodge at the 4. Walters in the end zone. Doesn't have the luxury of doing a lot of running, although Dodge still has 3 timeouts. Walters drops back, pressure comes, steps up, runs with it, gets pushed back into the end zone, but they'll give him forward progress near the 4-yard line. No gain on the play. Clock will continue to run.
Quinn Head made the form tackle. He met him at the 4-yard line, pushed him backwards all the way into the end zone. So Dodge City will get forward progress, which was the line of scrimmage.
2nd down and 10. Hutchinson 20, Dodge City 6. Rusty Hilst, Dan Nacarado with you from Western Kansas.
Certainly enjoyed visiting with Steve Carpenter, the SID for Hutchinson Community College at halftime. What a good man.
People could take notes. Steve Carpenter knows how to be an SID. Ball delivered in the middle of the field, almost intercepted. Boy, Jerry Jacobs jumped in front of the intended receiver, got his hands on it. An interception by Jerry would have been his 5th of the year.
He played a little bit of cat and mouse. He kind of laid back a little bit and then broke on the football at the last instant to where you didn't. I doubt that Caden Walters even saw him as a threat.
So it is a 3rd down and 10. Time running out on the Conquistadors. Hutchinson 20-6. Dragons trying to pick up win number 7. Ryan Rhodes, by the way, will be by to talk to us after the game. Walters throws out of the end zone. It is incomplete. And Walters took a shot in the back of the end zone. No flag drop. Dodge City presumably will punt, though you go 4th down and 10 at your own 4.
You almost have to punt now. Quinn Head did a fantastic job breaking up that pass. You never know if you punt. It's possible your opponent could make a mistake, and you probably have a better chance than going for it 4th and 10.
And in a game that has been, for the most part, competitive, you don't want to give the other team the ball at your own 4-yard line if you don't complete a pass.
That's right.
Punter's got to be careful not to step on the back line of the end zone, though. Gets a perfect snap. Gets off a beauty. Oh, my goodness, what a pretty punt. Fielded at the 46-yard line by Marcus Edwards, and he's still running. He's at the 25, the 15, the 10, the 5, and there's a touchdown return that ices the cake for the Blue Dragons.
Really, Dodge City should have gone for it on 4th and 10. What a great return by Edwards.
And it's a happy bunch of Blue Dragons on the sideline. I think that might be the first punt return all season long for a score that I can remember. There's a flag over there.
I think it might have come after. We'll see. Right now, it looks like a 50-yard punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah, very close to that. Might have been a little bit more than that.
There is no foul.
There is no foul. The flag came out inadvertently. It's been used so many times this afternoon, it just slipped out of its own volition. And now Chewy Parga on to kick the extra point. Luke Niemeyer out as he was injured on the last play of the first half. Dragons only had 10 players on the field.
Sometimes on a punt return for a touchdown, someone is not expecting to go out for the extra point team.
Dragons will go ahead and take a timeout, as will we. The issue decided. Hutchinson 26-6, 4:41 to play. We'll be back for the extra point. Well, the punt return by Marcus Edwards, removing all question about the ultimate victor in this game. Chewy Pargo will try to add the extra point. He has a strong leg. Snap is a good one, and the extra point is up, and the extra point is good. You know, we don't talk enough perhaps about the holder and the long snapper on those kicking situations, and let's talk a little bit about the long snapper, Dylan Chesterman.
Dylan Chesterman is a Hutchinson Salt Hawk. He's a good, very good all-around football player, but he knows his path to possibly Division I football and even beyond is as those guys have a skill that it's hard to find, and Dylan Chesterman has worked and worked and worked at it. He's fun to watch. If you ever get a chance to watch him practice his long snaps, he'll put a target out there that's about maybe a 1 foot diameter circle, and he'll try to put it through it from 15 yards away, and he's pretty good at it.
And the holder is Chris James. He started his career now about 1.5 years ago as the starting quarterback for the Blue Dragons. He's done a good job as act perfectly.
That's right. We saw Wyatt Akins at a Hutchinson High School football game a couple of years ago get down a remarkable hold that ended up winning a football game for Hutchinson.
Kind of a short spinning kickoff taken at the 26-yard line and taken to the outside by the dangerous Rodney Murphy, and he stepped on the sideline. Didn't go down, tried to stop on a dime and reverse field, but the official right there said, Rodney, you put your foot on the sideline. 4:33 to go in this one, and the Blue Dragons, all they want to do is keep everybody in front of them.
Chris James, that you brought up, Rusty, the holder for the Hutchinson Blue Dragons, yeah, that says a lot about a young man's character. Obviously, he would like to be playing quarterback for this football team, and he was a strong contender to be the starting quarterback. But the coaches made decisions that went a little bit different direction based on what they thought was best for the team. And Chris James still shows up every day and does what's asked of him, gets himself ready to play.
Dodge City with the football at the 39-yard line. 27-6 Hutch. Set up the screen pass. Dragon misses a tackle, and the screen pass complete to A.J. Walker will net some moderate yardage, about 5, out to the 44. Dodge City's got to be in a hurry up, although they are taking their time, pretty laconic about things.
Wow, now there's a good word.
2nd down 5 at the 44. Walters back, loads it up, throws right, complete at the 50-yard line, and down to about the 47-yard line. Jerry Hanks with another catch. Young man from Leavenworth has done some nice things.
He has, but this one's probably come back. There was probably another hold on the...
It was pretty critical of the Blue Dragons in the first half for all the penalties, and they had a slug of them, 136 yards in the first half. But Hutchinson has done a nice job in the second half of cutting the penalties way down, and it is Dodge City that's going to wind up the game with by far the most penalty yardage of these two teams.
Hutchinson Community College deserves to win this football game. They just played better football, especially in the second half, than their opponent.
Well, Dragons played like a disciplined football team in the second half. They didn't do anything spectacular, but other than the fumble at the 1-yard line, most of the things that Hutchinson did in the second half were good.
That's right. You know, many of us thought that the Dragons would probably go 7-4 this year. They just are getting there a different path than we expected.
Ball thrown underneath, and it is incomplete, thrown into the ground, intended for A.J. Walker. It'll be 3rd down and 20 for Dodge City. 3:41 separating us from the conclusion of this basketball game, which is now 2 and 50 minutes old.
You know, the Blue Dragons went to Iowa against Iowa Western on the second game of the year and lost a tough one that they very nearly pulled out in the last few seconds.
Walters floats it high, got a receiver open. It's out of his reach. Beaten on the play was Hunter Sims, but the ball out of the reach of Caleb Mills, and it's 4th down.
It seems like it was years ago, but back on August 26th when the Blue Dragons opened against Coffeyville at Gowan Stadium, remember that incredible comeback that they ended up winning 50-42, and they were down 25 points. Was it in the 3rd quarter?
I think it was in the 2nd quarter. They made a game of it by halftime, but the first 20 minutes of that football game, Coffeyville looked like world beaters, and the Dragons looked to be totally beaten, but they turned it around. And
people at Hutchinson are looking at each other thinking, well, what the heck's going to happen this year during that first half?
They'll go for it on 4th down, and the ball is delivered out of the reach of everybody. Hutchinson will take over the football on downs at the Dodge City 29-yard line. Now the Dragons will score if the opportunity presents itself, because there's still 3:27 to go. But all Hutchinson really wants is a couple of first downs.
They take over on the Dodge City 29-yard line, just 3 minutes, 27 seconds remaining, and the Blue Dragons lead this one 27-6. Then remember that incredible overtime 13-10 defensive struggle that Hutchinson won in double overtime against Highland.
Yeah,
it's been an exciting season.
It has. It's been a season where the offense has at times really struggled. The defense has, for the most part, been pretty solid.
Defense was good last year too.
Dragons go to nobody's with a rushing attack on the first down. And there's no reason for the Blue Dragons on any of the subsequent plays of this possession to snap it before they're inside 5 seconds to play on that shot clock.
Oliver's, Ty Cahoon Kinesiology, and Jackson's Meats will bring Coach Ryan Rhodes to us after this game so we can hear his thoughts. What do you think we ought to ask Coach Rhodes about today?
I'll leave that up to you. It's always safe to say, Coach, what did you think about this afternoon?
Can't go wrong with that.
It is Waller on the carry, and Waller, as he pushed out of bounds, that would be the last thing the Dragons want, but I think that's exactly what happened.
He tried to
get down, but he couldn't.
He tried to get a knee down, but the defense forced him out of bounds.
So it's a play of about 5 yards for the Blue Dragons.
Standard type question, kind of like if somebody goes to a job interview, you always say, tell me about yourself.
There you go.
Can't go wrong with that.
3rd down, 14. Forrest is under center, hands off, and there's a hole up the middle, and Lee threw it, battling down close to a first down at the 20-yard line. Nice run by Andrew Lee.
Blue Dragons don't really have much choice other than to go ahead and go for it on 4th down.
Sure. We're inside 2 minutes to go. The lead is 21. Hutchinson will finish at 7-4. And more importantly, they can get the taste of that 3-game late losing streak out of their mouths.
Hutchinson beat Garden City this year, the defending national champions, and Glenn Grunwald informs us that Garden City just beat Fort Scott 69-0 today.
Go figure. Dragons will get a first down and more. And down the sideline, inside the 10 to the 5-yard line goes Andrew Lee. And now with 1:23 to go, it remains to be seen how the Dragons will play this out. No question they can run it out. Will they try to score? The ball actually placed at the 4. Hutchinson has controlled this football game from the outset. Big play came on the blocked field goal and the subsequent return for a touchdown on the last play of the first half.
They'll go into victory formation now with just 1:23 remaining.
That was our friend Jerry Jacobs who did that, among other things. And this is good sportsmanship. There is no point whatsoever in scoring another touchdown.
No.
The Dragons have established themselves as the better of these two teams on this Saturday afternoon in western Kansas. And they'll have to snap it at least once more, maybe twice more. And Hutchinson will move to 7-4 with the Salt City Bowl pending the first Saturday in December.
And as Steve Carpenter told us at halftime today, we'll have to wait and see who the opponent will be. There will certainly be an invitation extended to a team from out west in Arizona, but it'll be up to them as to whether they accept the invitation or not.
And Dragons snap it again. I don't think there will be another snap. There's basically about a half-second difference between the play clock and the game clock, and I think the officials will just let it run out.
Yeah, that's where play clock operator just has to wait another half-second.
Yeah, maybe the Dragons are going to snap it one more time just to remove all doubt. And there is the final knee of the regular season taken by Eric Forrest, and the Blue Dragons have themselves a victory in Western Kansas. Our final, Hutchinson 27, Dodge City 6. We'll take a 2-minute break. Be back with postgame, a postgame that includes a visit with Hutchinson coach Ryan Rhodes. Well, the Blue Dragons get a victory, snap that 3-game losing streak, and win pretty convincingly in the end, 27-6 the final from Dodge City. Blue Dragons led 7-0 right before the end of the first half. Dodge City lined up for a field goal that would have made the half score 7-3. Hutchinson got a block, and before you know it, the Dragons found themselves in the other end zone. As once again, another big play made by Jerry Jacobs. And so the Dragons at halftime, after the ensuing extra point was blocked by Dodge City, found themselves with a 13-0 halftime lead. Hutchinson took the kickoff to start the second half, got another remarkable kick return, and got the ball down as far as the 1-yard line before fumbling it. Dodge City able to stop that, and although Dodge City threatened early in the second half to get a ball into the end zone, Hutchinson held 3 times from the 1-yard line, kept Dodge City out of the end zone, and in the end it turns out to be a 27-6 win for the Blue Dragons. We're going to save the Medicine Shop game capsule until a little bit later in the broadcast, but suffice it to say that in terms of total offense, Dodge City had more total offense than the Blue Dragons did in this football game. So you'd have to say that if you're handing out game balls, you'd give them to the defense and to special teams, Coach Knapp.
That's absolutely right, and Hutchinson accumulated some of that hidden yardage today, remember, on interception returns, punt returns, kickoff returns, those type things add up. So even though Dodge City on paper had more offensive total yards than Hutchinson, those things count. Those things put points on the board when you get interceptions and you get kickoff returns and you get punt returns.
Marcus Edwards had a whole bunch of return yardage, 6 kickoff returns for 112 yards, and a punt return, actually 6 punt returns for 112 yards, one of those a 53-yard touchdown run. Had a kick return of 44 yards. Pretty impressive afternoon of football for a lot of people on the Blue Dragon side. We're going to go ahead and close out the game portion of our broadcast. Stay with us, though. Our visit with Hutchinson coach Ryan Rhodes is up next.
Hutchinson Community College defeated Dodge City today, 27-6, and now we're joined by the head coach of the Blue Dragons, Coach Ryan Rhodes. Thanks for joining us, Coach Rhodes.
You bet, Coach Nat. Glad to be up here with you.
Well, it's always more fun to go take a bus ride home after a win, isn't it?
There is no doubt about it.
What were your thoughts about today's game?
Well, you know, I really like to have been able to put more points up when we had the ball down, you know, on their end of the field so much. A couple of blown red zone opportunities, a couple of turnovers, frustrate any coach. We were able to overcome a lot of those mistakes with a few big plays of our own. You know, the punt return there at the end that kind of iced it. A blocked field goal for a touchdown right before half. I mean, kicking game came through big for us. We put it together in this game, and we'd had a couple of big plays leading up to this. You know, we blocked the field goal against Fort Scott last week, and the week before that we had blocked a punt against Independence. So Coach Crow is responsible for both those units. He's done a great job with them, and I thought those were big plays today.
Those were game changers without a doubt. Looks like Dodge City might be putting some points on the board near the end of the second quarter, and instead Hutchinson puts points on the board.
Yeah, it's just it's a crazy deal, you know. I mean, these guys are young, and, you know, a lot of times they got a lot of things on their mind other than what they're doing, but there are things like that drive that we could learn so much about life from. You know, you just got to keep fighting, you got to keep chopping wood, and something good's going to happen, and that's what happened on that deal. I mean, we just kept defending, and we got them to kick a field goal, and we blocked it and had a chance to return it for a touchdown. So anyway, good life lesson, but I'm really proud of our guys. I mean, there's no secret that, you know, we've kind of been in the tank here for on a 3-game skid, and to get off of that is just an amazing feeling, not only for me but for our assistant coaches and the players. And been a tough one, and we're happy to come out with a W today.
Well, Coach, you're one of the few coaches in the country that isn't feeling especially good about a 7-4 record. I'm pretty proud of you guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. You know, we've had a lot of good years, and this one, you know, it could have been better, and that's, I guess, what I always think about. And yeah, it could have been worse, but it could have been a lot better, and I guess that's how you look at it if you're a hard-headed football coach.
I got to ask you about the most incredible play I think I've ever seen on an extra point, where the players were lateraling the ball and Story Jackson ends up going all the way the other way from one corner diagonally of the end zone all the way to the other. It would have been a 108-yard return for 2 points, but it was negated by a penalty. But talk to us a little bit about that. Is that something you guys practice to lateral the ball after a blocked extra point?
Well, keeping it PG, heck no. We did not practice that. We don't teach it, encourage it, like it. It was really a very dumb thing to do. Just go down, because the ball had come out, so then they get their 2 points back. So it was not smart. Hopefully we learn from it. If that ever comes up again for the next 100 years of my life, I'll be shocked. But man, that was crazy. And really, I mean, we would have got 2, but there was another kind of silly mistake to block a guy like 30 yards behind the ball. So that was a little bit frustrating as well.
Were you a little concerned that Story Jackson might not have his wind back in time to go out and play defense again?
Yeah, and then you got to turn around and play D again. So actually they kicked off to us after that because it was on the PAT. So, but it was a good effort by the defense today. I tell you, the quarterback for Dodge City, Coach Knack, I think is a really good player. And Tosti earlier this week, I mean, I told him, he's a hard guy to Walters. He's not super fast, but man, he's just a heady football player, and he's been able to throw it very well this season. So, I'm proud of our defense for playing a good game today. A little bend, not break type stuff, but came up with a turnover, and those were some good things too. So
you actually held him to 5 of 16 passing in the first half.
Oh wow! Yeah,
and had an interception on top of it
with a pick. Yeah. So again, I thought our guys played good. It's been a little bit of feast or famine, a lot of feasting in the back end, but the famines are the ones that kill you. And we've had a couple of those in the last couple of weeks that play great for a bunch of plays, and then you have one that kills you. And so we were able to overcome that today.
Coach, how about if we take a 30-second break and then talk a little bit about, we'll take a 1-minute break, and then talk a little bit about the Salt City Bowl. Would that be all right?
That sounds great.
All right, we'll do a 1-minute break. The Hutchinson Blue Dragons defeated the Dodge City Conquistadors 27-6 today to finish off the regular season 7-3. We're visiting with head coach Ryan Rhodes. Coach Rhodes, congratulations. You're 6-0 in bowl games, and you got another one coming this year.
You bet. Yeah, Coach, thank you. We're happy to be able to be a part of the Salt City Bowl this year. We had a 2-year absence from that game, and I'm super proud of the fact that the game is in there for 9 years. Is that right?
I believe that's right.
Okay. And so anyway, coming up on year 10 or whatever it is, we've been a part of a lot of them, and glad to be back in that. I think it'll be a neat experience because, our kids, for 6 years in a row, they kind of got spoiled, and they thought that was just how it was. And these kids, it'll all be their first time, you know, and so hopefully they really appreciate the opportunity to be there.
When you play college football, everybody you play is practicing, everybody you play is recruiting, everybody you play wants to win. So it's a good thing to be able to be bowl eligible and win 7 games and be able to play another game in 3 weeks.
You bet. You know, and I think the biggest thing about this one, Coach Knack, is that it gives us a little bit of momentum going into that game, you know, some much-needed momentum. And it's no secret we have kind of been on the struggle bus, but getting off of that, we'll just bring some new energy and life to our guys as we do bowl prep. And I'm really excited about that. It looks like, you know, you can't solidify anything until after the final polls have come out, but the Salt City Bowl has an agreement with the Western States Football League, so it looks like it'll be snow or eastern Arizona. I mean, I can't imagine it working out any other way. So, you know, Snow's a really good football team. Eastern Arizona's had a good year. I think they'll end up probably 7-4, something like that also. And so either one of those teams that comes in will be a good opponent, and we're excited to play and glad to have a little momentum going there.
We'll be happy to welcome upcoming week. Are you going to take any time off?
We will, Coach. We're as coaches, you know, we won't, but we're going to give the guys tomorrow and Monday off. They'll work out on Tuesday. We'll practice Wednesday, Thursday, kind of get back in the saddle there and work out. And a lot of our guys will take visits to four-year schools next weekend, and that's important also.
Yeah, we don't talk about that enough. You've sent a lot of young men on to Division